at the end of time.
O'clock.
Hey everybody, look, Tom has returned.
Back.
I told you he was coming back on Wednesday. He got back about 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm fucking tired, but I'm good enough to do the show.
You can do the show.
It's
a true crime one.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the true crime shows. I love the true crime shows.
And I just started drinking, so...
I started drinking about an hour ago, but I mean, I've only drunk like that much. So, so we're all good.
I was down there for 2 days and I didn't drink at all.
Yeah.
All they had was beer, and I said, man, I can't drink that. Corona? I said, I can't drink that.
It's like, what the hell is this
you
beer
drink?
nonsense?
I said, no, man. Fucking
Don't y'all have any real booze?
Yeah. I said,
That's what I would have said.
Yeah, I was like, it's too many calories, man. And then they're sitting there just bowl after bowl of fucking pasta and shit. And I'm going, man, this is why y'all are fat.
Did you tell them that?
I didn't eat much. No, I didn't say anything. I ate a little bit.
You're saying it now, though.
They had, sausage and, but I just focused on the meat, you know, that they were eating. I can't sit around eating pasta salad and shit.
I mean, I love pasta, but yeah, you can't eat that all the time.
No.
Like, it's good every now and then. Like, I really like it.
It's just all carbohydrates, man.
It is, yeah. But it is delicious.
I'm still losing weight.
I know. I'm trying to. And honestly, it's funny because, I mean, Tom was not here for a couple days, and he's, usually the one that cooks and stuff.
Yeah, I left her a big old pot of fucking curry.
He's so sweet. He made me, like, this huge pot of Thai curry.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is enough, like, for like a big thing of rice. And like,
it was 4.
So I wouldn't have to.
It was 4 chicken breasts.
Yeah, so I wouldn't
that'll
have
feed
to,
you for
like,
2
cook
days easy.
anything.
Yeah.
So basically, well, what I did was I had some, like, cans of soup and stuff, so I would just, like, have soup for lunch.
Yeah.
And then, like, I would just have that, like, in the evening.
Yeah, that curry doesn't go bad.
Yeah.
All the spices in there just cure everything. It can last a week.
Because I can cook, it's just, like, I would rather not, and I'm, like, usually busy.
Yeah.
So like, So that was nice that he left me a bunch of food so I wouldn't starve to death.
Yeah. Well, she's got the car, she could go.
Yeah, like I said, it's not like I'm going to die. I had the car, so, so I could have.
She didn't even take the car.
Yeah.
So you didn't go anywhere to not sat here. That's what I know that is. Me and you were sitting here 3-4 days in a row without
sometimes
we never even noticed it.
I was thinking about it because I was going to go get some shit from the store, but then I was like, do I really need that? And I was like, nah, probably not. I needed cat treats, but I can just order those. It's cheaper to get them on Amazon. So.
I left her one of my ultralight AR-15 builds, man, right next to the bed.
Because it is
locked and loaded.
It is a little creepy. Like it's safe out here. Like I don't really worry about it too much. But it is. I forgot how creepy it was being in the house by myself at night in a in this big house. Yeah. And I was kind of like, so I kept waking up every couple hours, being like, what was that noise? And it's like it was the cat. Inevitably.
I got this. I got this 14.5 inch. AR-15 carbon front end on it, with fucking built-in Enforce lights, and it's sub 5 pound build, fucking Faxon ultralight fucking pencil barrel on it. It's just light, weighs a little bit more than what a pistol does. And I says, Jen, here it is right here. All I gotta do is flip it on fire and just fucking
pull the trigger.
Hide in the corner. When they walk in that fucking room, you just fucking blast them and don't fucking stop until they're
That's
fucking.
the nice thing about
running.
Having a house with an upstairs is like,
they gotta
if anybody
come up
breaks
here.
in the house, they got to come up here, and I'm gonna see your dumb ass.
Yep. When you
so
walk
I can
in,
just pick you off when
you're gonna get fucking. And I said, just keep pulling the trigger until they're fucking just a fucking bloody splat on the ground, Fucking, but they're gonna run.
Well, I would have if that had happened. But I didn't have any
light on it.
I didn't even have any. Nothing happened at all.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it to, but
this is Florida. The only really in a nice neighborhood like this is just out in the country. It's very quiet and peaceful. The only fucking threat there would ever be is home invasion or burglary because they think nobody's home.
Yeah, but the car was in the driveway, so it's like it didn't look like there was nobody home. And I opened the curtains, like during the day and everything. So and I turned the lights on at night. So
and I said, Jed, if you can't, she doesn't know how to change magazines or anything or fucking charge it. Really, she just has no interest in that shit. But I just said, if you can't, all you do is flip it on fire and just keep pulling the trigger.
He showed me how to do
it. So
it.
you got 30 rounds in there. If you can't solve the problem in 30 rounds, you can't solve it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So that's what we figured. But like I said,
you don't even need news sites. Had a red dot
everything
site.
turned out okay. It was just like I said. It was just kind of creepy being in here.
Yeah, it make you feel better though, doesn't it? Have that thing laid up right there.
It did kind of, although I still kept waking up. You know what I mean? Because I was like, oh, okay, it's all right. It's okay. You know what I mean? CB, it's CB's birthday today.
Happy
birthday, CB. Yep. 39 years.
Yeah, I'm getting old, Bill. Bees Nest just sent me some money. He's dying of fucking something wrong with his heart. What happened to your heart?
Oh, my God.
I don't know if he's dying. He was. I mean,
we're all dying.
Everybody's dying slowly. Yeah. Stop all that fucking drinking.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
As we say, as we chug fucking alcohol.
Yeah. Well, we're healthy. We can drink. We work out. Take drugs. Take high-performance drugs.
Thank you very much, Bees Nest, for the... And interestingly, my birthday is on Friday.
Yeah.
So the sidetracks will be Jenny's birthday extravaganza.
Yeah, get her a cake.
I already crawled over to Publix's website. I was like, what do they got that I haven't had before?
Yeah, take her out and get to the little British pub they have here. Get her some.
Yeah, he reminded me because I'm sitting.
She wants seafood. I said, "What about that?"
I'm sitting there like, I wanted seafood, and I'm just kind of like, well, we don't really have a great seafood restaurant around here. Not that I know of. Like, we have some okay ones, but he's like, why don't we go to that British pub? And I was like, God damn, I forgot all about that place.
It is British too. It's a British woman who runs it.
Yeah,
her husband owns it.
It's a cool ass place. They got good. They got good food in there. We've eaten there a couple times, but it's been a long time.
She got an American husband who owns it, but she runs it.
Yeah.
And Jen lived there, so I said, "Is this the way it tastes?" She goes, "Yeah, that's it."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You got was it pasties? Pasties.
Yeah, they
pasties. Something to strip.
That's on your nipples.
Okay,
yeah, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, it looked. It didn't look that good to me. I was having other stuff. I mostly have fish and chips.
They're really good though.
It looks dry.
Only thing that I wish that they had, if they had pasties, like Cornish pasties. I mean, well, I know technically it's not a Cornish pasty, but one that I had when I was over there was lamb and mint, and holy crap, that shit was delicious. They also have pork and apple, like a pork and apple pasty was really good too. But yeah, so
too many carbs.
I know that, but every now and then they're good to have. The weird thing is that when I lived over there, like, I lost weight without even trying, even though everything that I ate was like deep fried.
Yeah.
I guess it was all the walking.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a car.
No, you know what it was? The sugar is fucking cane sugar. It's not.
It might be that.
It's not corn syrup like they use here, and they do that on purpose so you can get diabetes. Because the food industry and the drug industry are linked. They're like, get rid of that sugar, put corn syrup in there. They'll get fat as fuck, and they'll all get diabetes, and we'll sell this diabetes medicine to them. Yeah, they know what they're doing. When they came out with that corn syrup, people were complaining. They said, no, man, corn. Any product that comes from corn, especially the sugars that come from corn, is what you fatten up cattle with.
Well, yeah.
That's what you do. It'll get you fat.
It's like, let's fatten up some people with it, too. And it worked. But yeah, so like
corn
I said,
fed.
So like I said, I don't know. We'll see how shit goes. I haven't decided because Friday, I depending on how much work I have to do, because I know I got a meeting that day and shit like that. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so should be fun. Then we'll go out on Saturday like we usually do.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this evening. Wow. I know all serial killers are, by definition, a piece of shit, but wow, this guy is really a piece of shit. As Tom Baker says, he tortured animals, so I hate this guy even more. Yeah, I mean, and this is like one of those, he's one of those truck drivers that killed several women around the country. And he was kind of a Ed Kemper type in the past. He was like a big motherfucker. Well, he's still alive. He's in prison, thankfully.
Dude from Norway asks, is this a food program? Bitch, we're Southerners. Food is a fucking religion here, okay? Yeah. Food is a religion to us. We're always going to be talking about food, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to go off on tangents in case you're new here. You know what I mean? Because it's, like I said, I have notes and shit, but it's live. And we do a show on Friday night that's just all tangents that doesn't have a topic. These have topics, but we tend to go off on... That's why they tend to be 4 hours long. Because we just kind of... You know what I mean? Because I probably have like an hour's worth of notes, and then we just talk about all this other kind of stuff. Food and porn. So that's Bob said. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah, CB said his daughter started the show where family members of the killers meet the families of the victims. Yeah, and I've seen a couple of those too. His daughter, I mean, bless her, because this motherfucker had kids too. And she changed her name, but she's kind of on TV. She became kind of a true crime. I've seen like a couple episodes. What the hell is the name of that show?
What show?
It's a show where
Most Evil.
No, it's not. I've watched that, but it's not that. I can't remember what it's called. It's not. There's one called Evil Lives Here that's about family members, but I don't think it's that one either. This one specifically is kind of about the kids of serial killers meeting like families of the victims. You know what I mean? Like so I've seen it, and this guy's daughter started that. And she's written a couple books and stuff too. But yeah,
Klaus in there laughing. Fucking Tanya's in there. What's up? You bringing the rest of Norway in here with you?
all the yeah. Elizabeth Jack said, "I can't imagine my dad being a serial killer." Right? It's just kind of like I can't. That must be the craziest fucking shit. And the thing about this, I haven't read her book or anything, but she seems like she knew that her dad was like maybe not right, but I don't think she suspected that he was a serial killer. Like, I mean, you wouldn't, would you? I mean, that's kind of the last thing you'd
Victor
expect.
showed up.
Hey, what's up, Victor? Oh, we got a super chat from Klaus. Thank you very much.
Klaus?
Again, we talk about a dude I've never heard about, but he seems like okay dude, or am I wrong? He's a very not okay dude.
He's a serial killer.
You know what I mean? Yeah. This is like one of the least okay dudes we've ever talked about. And that's saying something. Yeah, I was watching like some documentaries about this. I watched, there was Time Suck on it. I watched that last night. And this guy, like I said, all serial killers kind of suck, but this guy like really sucks. He did, he did a lot of animal torture, and he also had this horrible, kind of like victim mentality too. Which I guess, like, that there is, like, a class of serial killer that has that, where it's, like, there was always some reason why he had to kill this woman. Like, she didn't give me a choice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she was being a bitch or whatever. It's like, always that kind of crap. Very, very misogynistic. Just very cruel. Everything was kind of funny to him. But then, like, when he was in hot water and he needed something, like, then he would pretend, like, to give a shit. You know what I mean? But yes, which is like the worst kind of fucking person. And he is in prison. Like I said, he's never getting out. He avoided the death penalty, which we'll get into a bit, because he killed people in a lot of states. So there was like a lot of legal wrangling.
States fighting over it.
State, yeah, like extradited here and extradited there, and all this other kind of stuff. But I think at this point they're just kind of like, hey, he's in there. We're probably not going to bother, because he killed someone in Florida, and he killed some people in California, and he killed people in Oregon, Wyoming. Like, he killed people like all over the place, because like I said, he was a truck driver. So, but yeah, like, he was trying to avoid the death penalty, which he succeeded in doing, although there's still a chance that another state might go after him and get the death penalty. I always wonder why do they try to avoid the death penalty so bad?
Who?
Like, serial killers in general.
They don't want to get killed.
Yeah, but it's like the death penalty, it takes so fucking long, like, to get through all the appeals. Like, you'll die of old age before you get fucking... That's what usually happens.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a victory thing. Just trying to win, maybe.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
They're kind of control freaks, you know? They don't want somebody else to tell them when they're going to die, type of deal. Yeah, maybe. And this guy, that kind of tracks. Like, he had some kind of control issue. Yeah. Where he's just kind of like, well, I'm gonna say. Yeah, death row would be easy time, because you're in those cells a lot. So you don't have to go out and work.
Yeah.
It's not like, not like everybody else. And then they dope those guys up. They're on all kinds. They give them all kinds of, like,
to keep them calm.
To keep them calm.
I mean,
yeah.
So
they really just sit around and watch TV
honestly.
And fucking get high and shit. Just wait. Get fat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think, they just want to be a general population, I guess.
Yeah, I don't really know. And this guy is another guy that... Okay, so they're not entirely sure how many people he killed. Women, he just killed women. They know it's 8, at least. But, there are other ones that he confessed to that they're not sure. They don't have enough evidence, they can't line it up. He has confessed, at varying times, to killing as many as 160 people, which I do not believe. But he had kind of a Henry Lee Lucas kind of vibe. He absolutely did kill people. He wasn't like Henry Lee Lucas in that regard, who only killed like a couple people. This guy was absolutely a piece of shit rapist serial killer, and he killed some people in some horrible fucking ways. But he was one of those ones that wanted to be like bigger than life, more than what he was. Like more than what he was. You know what I mean? Like kind of a loser like that. So so he admitted to all this kind of stuff, and then later he was just like, "Oh, never mind. I didn't mean that. I just made it up." Because one of the things that he said, and like I said, I have a bunch of quotes and shit from him. Like I said, he sounds like a real asshole. But you know, it's like, oh, he enjoys like fucking with the press and fucking with the police and all this other kind of stuff.
Well,
so he
confessed,
like it's power plays.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, he sounds insufferable. Just like aside from being a serial killer, even if he wasn't a serial killer, if you knew somebody that wrote shit like this, you'd be like, oh my god, please fuck off and die. You know what I mean? It would be like that. Aside from all of the serial killing and all of the horrible animal torture that he did, you know, just
did he get details on all that?
Yeah, it's not great. I'll try to keep it not to, because I was watching, like I said, I watched the time suck on it, and I watched like a bunch of different documentaries about it, and some of them kind of went into some detail, and I was like, man, like you know, the shit with humans is fucked up enough. And one girl in particular, thank God, I guess, that she was like already dead when this happened to her, but like what he did to her fucking body was just horrific. Like oh my god, I'm cringing thinking about it.
You're gonna tell us about that later.
Yeah, like later. But like, yeah, holy shit, it was just.
Yeah, you know, I love animals and fucking cats. Fucking worked in the horse industry. Got all kinds of, you know, pets over the time. You know, and but you know, I also grew up hunting. You know what I mean? Fucking, but I only killed game animals. You know, deer. That's one thing. Or if you're working on a farm and you're slaughtering livestock, you know, pigs, you know. The problem with these dudes is that they kill pets a lot of times.
Yeah. For
nothing more than just the pleasure of killing them, and they make them suffer.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah, he got off on that.
Yeah. In the American hunting culture, we kind of have a thing, and the same with in family farms. You have something kind of like what Islam would call halal slaughter, where you're only culling a certain amount of them, the ones that are ready to be culled, and then it's quick, painless death, usually rifle shot. If it's in a farm, you know, they have a special pneumatic guns for that. Put it on a, you know, usually a lot of times a cow or whatever.
Like in No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, just like that. Like the cows
that he killed people with.
Yeah, on slaughter dead cows, you know, eating a big old bowl of apples and shit. He's having fun, you know what I mean? When he starts running low, you pop. So he doesn't even know what happened. You know what I mean? It's not a thing of hatred. You're not getting into it, you know. It's
this guy absolutely was, and he admitted as much.
Yeah, they're doing shit to kittens and shit. You know what I mean? Fucking.
Yeah, he did that.
And you know, and
kittens, gophers, birds, dogs.
Yeah, and I hear that shit, man. It just makes me want to fuck these dudes up so bad.
This honestly, and I don't say this lightly. This motherfucker should have been drowned at birth.
Yeah, they're out there, just bad seed.
For real.
Yeah, don't for one second think that people are the same. There's a lot of differences between people. All right, and fucking some people are pieces of shit. And I don't know if it's genetics, nature, or nurture. I think it's a combination of the both. And then some of these older generations, I think a lot of it had to do with lead poisoning. Because here in the U.S. we had leaded gasoline. And it was blowing lead particles everywhere.
Yeah. And that'll...
And that caused you to be hostile and fucking crazy, especially if you're low IQ to begin with. And this kind of explains what happened in ancient Rome. You know, they're drinking... The rich people had running water, and it was coming through lead pipes. You know, and so fucking the Roman elites, and they ate off of lead plates where they're cutting shit on it. And they would take shit, powdered lead, and sprinkle it on food. Rich people would in ancient Rome, because it was like their version of salt. They use salt too, but that'd make you do some crazy shit, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think the serial killers are kind of drying up. And I had the idea years back, but when we started the show, I thought leaded gasoline must have had something to do with it. Now a lot of people are jumping on board.
Yeah. There's been a couple papers about it.
That leaded gasoline probably helped these dudes do what they do.
I don't think it's the only thing, but it
one
for sure
factor.
Contributed.
Yeah, because what it does is makes you meaner, and it fucking
lowers
reduces inhibitions, so they'll do it. And if you have a kid who's already kind of fucked up, the lead poisoning will fucking push him over the edge.
Yeah. Like I said,
and it's mostly boys. Around puberty age.
When I was watching the Time Suck episode, like Dan Cummins actually did quite an insightful thing before he got into it, where he was talking about the whole nature versus nurture thing, and he said, to an extent, like, the way that this guy was brought up, and various other factors can explain why he did what he did, but he's like, once he becomes an adult, he chooses to do that. He's like, and we know that because, like, there was he didn't actually start killing people that we know of until he was about 35. And sometimes he would go like a year and a half, like in between. So it's like, so he could stop if he wanted to. He's like, so up to a point, yeah. He's like, I'm not excusing it or anything like that, but he's like, you can understand why they do that. But he's like, also, he's a grown-ass adult and he can choose to do that or not to do that because he could stop if he wanted to. Which, probably true. I think, it depends on the person, I guess, but I think this guy probably could. I think he just liked it and he didn't want to stop. So yeah. Klaus says, let us have a heads up when speaking about animals again, please. Okay, well, if I remember, I will, like, say something about it. But yeah, Papa77 said, yeah, he's in Oregon State Prison. Yeah, he's in the Oregon State Penitentiary. And is likely never getting out. Like I said, the only reason they would let him out is if another state extradited him to put him on trial for another murder that he hasn't been convicted of yet. You know what I mean? So there's that. Like I said, they know that he killed at least 8. I would imagine it's probably more. For a time before they caught Ridgway, they actually had him on the radar for some of the Green River killings because some of them happened in the same area and it was kind of the same MO. And he actually, we'll get into this a lot later, but he actually told a very clearly fake, ridiculous, stupid story about meeting the Green River Killer, which just has to be heard to be believed. Okay. Cause I read it in his words. It was like a quote and I'm just like, you've got to be fucking joking that you said that.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned up in the comments that he told really ridiculous lies.
Yeah. It's like, obviously he did all of this shit. Cause some of the stuff did the evidence bore it out, but he would just make shit up. Like I said, it was a control issue. He liked having power. He liked fucking with people. He thought it was funny, I guess. So yeah, so he's just gonna make up stupid shit.
Yeah, if you're doing really bad shit, you actually did it, and then they start questioning you more and more. I guess they're tempted to make up shit too.
Yeah.
To kind of glorify yourself.
Yeah.
And to shock people. Which would be like
because they get off on that. Because it's
another way of torturing people mentally.
Yeah, it's like a really immature mindset.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever grown out of being.
Yeah, I think Albert Fish was like that.
Children, honestly.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of the shit that Albert Fish claimed to have done, he lied, I think. Although he did some horrible shit too.
Yeah.
Not only to other people, but to himself. That was the weirdest man probably all in history. Albert Fish.
Yeah, he was a fucking weirdo.
Weird motherfucker back in the early 1900s here in the U.S.
Yeah, we did a show about him a long time ago.
Ate a little girl and she was a cannibal.
The Gray Man, isn't that what they called him?
Yeah, something like that. Ate a little girl that he stole. Did all kinds of shit. Had a mentally deficient boyfriend. He bit part of his dick off. Weird shit, man. At least he said that. I don't know if he actually did it. They never proved that.
Yeah.
But he did a lot of the shit that he did it. He did it. It was kind of proven.
Yeah, CB says most serial killers become truck drivers because it makes getting victims easier. Yeah, and it's and I hate to cast aspersions on truck driving as a profession because it's actually a really important profession. It's how a lot of stuff still gets moved around the United States.
We don't really use trains in the same way Europe does.
No, we use trucks. So trucking is a very huge industry. So, but it is also true that people who are inclined to be serial killers are also inclined toward that profession because they get a lot of freedom. They get a lot of...
It's a good environment for them.
Yeah, because you can drive from state to state. No one really knows who you are. You can pick up random ass people and kill them and dump them in another state. And it's no one will ever connect you. Yeah. So it's if you're already inclined to that kind of behavior, then yeah, you're going to be drawn to that. The same way that a particular type of serial killer, like D'Angelo or somebody like that, is drawn to being like a cop or some shit like that.
Yeah.
It's slightly different, but...
the cop's under more control. They're watching him tighter.
Yeah.
The truck driver, when he's running from one place to the next, he can sometimes dilly-dally for a little bit, especially if he's kind of like an independent contractor for another company, where they're not really... Nowadays, I think they have trackers on all their vehicles, though, and they're probably a little monitored a little more tightly.
Yeah.
Than they were back in these particular days. But in those days, they could kind of do what they wanted as long as they got the cargo
to where it was supposed to be at the time that it was supposed to be.
They could, make up time and lose some time, and they could make up for it later.
And they were just doing all kind of crazy shit.
Yeah, and this was pre-GPS, too.
Yeah, so they couldn't really tell where you were. They're like, well, as long as he showed up where he was supposed to, that's all.
Yeah, okay. And they couldn't, they could only take certain roads, and maybe they would just take the easiest way, not the quickest way.
Yeah.
And so they used to do our interstate system. It's not the same, if we got Europeans in here listening. In Europe was mostly built around train tracks. The U.S. wasn't. It's too big. It was built around dirt roads. That's where it started. And little paths and fucking wagon trails. That's how it started. And over time, they paved those. And we had this new invention. Bicycles. And a bicycle was a mechanical horse. Then they put motors in those. It became a motorcycle. Then they had little motorized carriages called cars. And so it was the evolution was very different. And our road system is just vast. You could never build a train system like that. People say, well, boy, you don't have good public transportation. You don't understand the scale of how big this is.
Everything's too far apart.
You can't send a fucking billion-dollar train track to some little podunk town that has 100 people in it. The only way you can get there is going to be a road, economically. You can't run a train to it. And you're not going to be able to fucking gather all these people up and stuff them into cities, because there goes the United States. That'd be gone. Because products aren't made in fucking cities anymore. They're made out in the country, in a factory. Or, in small little farms or little shops. Motorcycle parts, custom shit, built on a little fucking garage in the middle of fucking Alabama. So it's just not the same terrain. And, there's a lot of empty space here. The only thing close to it would be Canada, Russia, Brazil. Brazil got a lot of empty space too. I grew up there. I actually didn't grow up there. I went through my high school years. I was there for about 4 years. And Brazil is a real close analogy to the United States. Anyway,
we got a super chat.
Who's that?
From Pop77. Gave us a super chat just for doing my favorite subject and for being a Pacific Northwest killer. We have so many killers, too many killers here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Almost paid for the show until I saw the poll for this week.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do this guy for a long time. Gramther says Gramther's put a few men in the Oregon penitentiary system when he was a lawman in Harney County, 1993 to 1997. So kind of around the same time period that this guy was active, because he murdered the victims between about 1990 and 1995, the ones that they know of, and then he got caught in 1995. And Big Dog says lot lizards disappear all the time. Yeah.
But they disappear when they're not killed too.
Yeah, and that's why. Yeah, and that's kind of why, like I said, why they get preyed on a lot, which is kind of sad.
Nobody knows where they are. They can't keep track of them.
And Tiny said, "Don't most trucks have tracking nowadays?" Now they do.
Probably do.
But back in this era, this was the early '90s. No, they did not.
They're more tightly regulated, not because of lot lizards and other. They're more tightly regulated. I don't know the ins and outs. We actually have truck drivers that do listen to us when they're on the road, but they listen to us mostly recorded. They're mostly doing tracking because they want to make sure you're not speeding. They want to know where you are.
Yeah.
And if you're actually getting sleep, because a lot of accidents happen with dudes trying to
get
there
stay
early and stay awake,
trying to pop some uppers and
right. Yeah,
I'm gonna get some extra hours in.
Yeah, so they can look at you and go, "Bitch, you're not sleeping. You're on something."
Yeah, it's like you've been driving for 9 fucking straight hours. Go take a nap.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're dilly-dallying. You went off course. What happened? You know?
Well, it's not just semi-trucks. It's like pretty much any large corporation that has work trucks, like Amazon or anything like that. They all have tracking on the trucks, and they can tell if you're speeding and all that other kind of stuff too.
But there's also a lot of trucking. There's just independent contracting. A small company that has maybe one truck, and it's a family, and he can take something somewhere, and they work for other companies. And they're not going to be managed the same way, although I'm sure it's always changing. So I don't know what it's like right now.
And we got another super chat from Bee's Nest. Thank you very much.
Bees?
Just says Flash Bulb.
Flash Bulb.
All right, so let's get into this motherfucker. Yeah, he was a truck driver, and honestly, he moved to the United States later, but he was actually born in Canada, interestingly. So again, like kind of that whole Pacific Northwest area, which, like I said, a strange amount of serial killers did come from that area for some reason. Not really sure why. Because even Ted Bundy was from up there too, like a Green River Killer, like kind of your big name serial killers. A lot of them came from up there for whatever reason. So this guy, Keith Jesperson. Now, he was born in 1955 So he was born in actually, I think this is the way you pronounce it. It's Chilliwack. Chilliwack? What the fuck kind of name for a city is that? Chilliwack, British Columbia.
It's an Indian name, probably.
That's in Canada. Yeah, that's a funny name. So he actually had, I think, 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and he was like right in the middle of them, if I'm getting that correctly. Now, as in a lot of these, like, I don't really know much about his mom, but his dad was kind of a piece of shit. His dad was a drunk, was abusive. The thing about it, though, is that I kind of feel like in this era, this is 50s, I don't think they considered themselves abusive when they just, like, beat the crap out of their kids, like, with a belt or something like that. Like, nowadays, obviously, that would be considered abuse, but I don't think they thought of it as abuse back then.
No, I thought it was normal. Normal discipline.
So, yeah, even though I'm sure that was pretty widespread, which, again, did not help, other than, like, all the fucking lead and everything like that. Like, beating the crap out of your kids, not great. Also, him being a drunk, not great. Also, like I said, his dad... Gonna say his dad didn't really seem to give a shit about the animal cruelty that the kid was displaying from a very early age, and was just kind of like, yeah, go, kid. So, again, not
Tell
great.
us about it.
I will in a little bit. Right. But, yeah, so, so there was that. And, so, yeah. And I think his dad, like, beat the shit out of him with a belt all the time. Also, I don't really know, like, all the super details about this, but he, like, electrocuted him one time, like, on purpose.
Electrocuted the kid?
Yes.
Damn, how?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know all the... I was like, wait, what? He electrocuted? Like, what? Did he, like, put a car battery on his nuts? Or what the fuck? Like, what are we talking about? We talking about some mob shit? Or what? Like, I don't know.
Had to been something kind of stupid.
So, yeah, so I don't know. But he electrocuted him at one point. At least once. At least. That's what I saw. Now, from a very early age... thank you very much. We got another super chat.
Papa sent us money. Yeah, thank you about it.
We have so many killers up in the Pacific Northwest because it's so gray and cloudy and gloomy. It's very depressing. I don't know. I like that weather, though. That kind of weather makes me happy. But maybe not everybody's like me, so I don't know. I guess that's what it is. But yeah, so thank you very much. Tom Baker said Papa won the lottery. So yeah, where was I? Okay, so from an early age, Keith, and I'm not talking about Keith in the chat. I'm talking about this motherfucker, the happy face killer. He got made fun of a lot because he was big. I'm not talking about fat. I'm talking about big. Like, he was real tall. He ended up, when he got to his actual size, he ended up being like 6'6", 6'7". He is big fucking dude. Like I said, Ed Kemper size motherfucker. Ed Kemper was what, 6'9"? Some shit like that. Pretty so he's big. So this guy was
freakishly
the
big.
Same. Yeah, this guy was also kind of freakishly big. And so he got bullied a lot because of that. And he got bullied a lot by his brothers too. Like, his brothers actually called him Igor. Like, which I thought was kind of cool. I was like, I would have liked being called Igor. That's a pretty cool name, but like, he did not like it. And I guess, like, they told all the other kids at school, so all the other kids at school called him.
Well, they must have thought he was a big goofy fucker.
Yeah, and he's not, I was looking at they said that his IQ was, like, about average.
Yeah.
Like, about 100.
Okay.
So he wasn't dumb.
Yeah.
He just really didn't care about school, and he was, he got picked on a lot, so he was just...
So he went into it.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he was really shy and, kind kind of a loner. Like, they say that about a lot of serial killers, like kids that become serial killers. And he got in trouble a lot at school. He would beat on other kids and shit like that. And his dad would beat the shit out of him also. Like I said, kind of electrocuting him at one point and beating him with a belt and things of that nature. And here comes the animal cruelty. So, just giving you a heads up right there. From about the age of 5.
That's little.
Yeah, that's really little. Like I said, you have a 5-year-old kid that starts doing this kind of shit to animals. Yeah, you need to nip that in the bud, because that kid is not right. So he would start. He really seemed to enjoy catching animals and like watching them kill each other.
What kind of animals are we talking
about? Like, well, cats. He would tie their tails together and like hang them over a rope and like make them do that.
At 5, he had the strength to do this and the size.
Well, I mean, this is just shit that he did like over the years.
All right.
He would like shoot animals with a BB gun just like in different places so it wouldn't kill them. Like it would just hurt them. You know what I mean? Like all that kind of crap. One time, I'm not sure how old he was at this point, maybe like 9 or 10, but he had a cat and it's like, this upsets me so much, but he like threw it really hard down the pavement and it was like all fucked up, and then he picked it up and strangled it, and his dad was all like, hey, way to go. Back in my day, we just put him in a sack and drown him. So, you know, he's a little chip off the old block there, I guess.
Fucking people are nuts, man.
So his dad was like, well, he's doing a good job. He's getting rid of all the strays in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like in the fucking trailer park they live in.
Yeah, the trailer park, yeah. So we're talking about shitbags.
Yeah, these are some shitbags.
Shitbags,
right here.
yeah.
Like I said, not a great upbringing.
And this would have been in the 60s?
Yeah, 50s, 60s. Yeah. Like mid to late 50s and early 60s.
Yeah. By today's standards, the United States was still a developing country in the 50s and the 60s.
And this shit was apparently okay.
What state was this again?
Well, they were originally from Canada.
Okay.
And then I think they moved to Washington State at some stage.
Okay. So it's in the Northwest.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Pretty country. But
it's beautiful up there.
Country doesn't usually mean anything about cruelty. You know, a lot of country people, they like animals.
Yeah.
It's just weird. That's not normal behavior.
Not at all. Like I said, if you have a 5-year-old kid and they start doing that shit and they seem to like enjoy it, please do something about that child.
Yeah. Killing stray cats and dogs is not a thing.
That's
that's not really a thing.
That's not. There's
plenty of room.
Absolutely nothing normal about that.
Yeah, because there's plenty of room in the American states. It doesn't matter if cats are running around. They're not taking anything from anybody.
Yeah.
And they're not in an urban environment, so you don't really see them. You know, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, he would nail them to boards and like shoot at them and like
nail a cat to a board and shoot at it.
And dogs too, and gophers.
Damn.
That kind of shit.
He was doing this as a kid.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird. I mean, the closest thing I ever did to that shit like that would be fucking taking a hammer and smashing cockroaches. You know what I mean? Killing bugs, that kind of shit.
See, I hate cockroaches, but I would feel bad even doing that.
Oh, no. I was a kid. Pow! Like that. I did it outside.
Like, I don't mind, like, squishing them. Squishing them. If I'm outside...
Yeah.
Outside. Then they can run. Now, if they're in my house, all bets are off.
No, I'd be killing fucking bugs and fucking little things we called pill bugs, little sow bugs, stomping on them.
Oh, I don't. That
was like 5, 6, 7.
I don't kill them. I thought they were cute.
I didn't like those things. Any kind of bug.
I thought they were cute. The only bug that really bothers me is cockroaches. Yeah. I'm not bothered by spiders. I'm not bothered by pretty much any other bugs.
Yeah.
Other than fucking cockroaches. Cockroaches can eat a dick.
Yeah.
But like other than that, I'm not. And I feel bad about like killing anything. Really.
Yeah. Yeah, I never had any kind of urge to kill any kind of mammal or bird or lizards.
Yeah, why would you? Like I said, that is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Gramther says, in Florida, aren't they called palmetto bugs?
There's two different kinds.
There are two different things. Like a cockroach is just, it can't fly. Palmetto bugs can fly.
A cockroach, when we say cockroach, we're talking about a German cockroach.
Well, now German cockroaches are little.
They're little, right.
An American cockroach is big.
Yeah.
Like about that big, but it can't fly. A palmetto bug looks like an American cockroach, but it can fly.
Yeah.
So it's like different things. A German cockroach is little bitty. We just see one of those and you're just like, that's not even a bug. Come on.
No, German cockroaches are the worst.
But they
can infest.
Yeah, they do infest.
They can infest a house.
Because they're small and you don't see them.
You can't get them. But palmetto
like
bugs,
under the oven or some shit like that. It's just like it's really gross.
Palmetto bugs and American cockroaches, they're bigger. Yeah. They don't really infest houses per se. They can get into a house because they can slide underneath the door.
Yeah.
But it's not like you have a whole nest of them where there's thousands of them. It's just they're too big.
Not usually. They don't unless reproduce. You live in a real shit.
They live inside of fucking palm trees.
Yeah. Hence palmetto bugs.
Yeah.
I remember one time
we pull a piece of skin of a palm tree off and fucking
and there's like there's like a nest of them in there.
Yeah.
We had that happen in my grandma's yard one time.
Yeah.
Like it came off and we were all like, blah! Yeah. We were like fucking oh my god.
Palmetto bugs and American type cockroaches are outside bugs.
Yeah. Now they do come in sometimes.
Yeah, but they don't really live here.
Because like
they
I said,
invade.
I kind of I laughed like a long time ago. I saw somebody post like one of those Florida memes or whatever. And I don't even remember what the picture was, but I just remember that the caption said, "Everybody gangsta till the cockroach flies." And I was like, yeah, pretty much.
The worst are German cockroaches. Because they're small, they're small and they reproduce quickly, and they can get underneath some and inside of things, like inside of walls. And once they're inside of walls, man, you're fucked. You're gonna have to fumigate the damn house. You're gonna be fighting them forever.
Yeah,
because you can't get to them. And there'll be thousands of them in there living in there. And fucking, if you can go into a house, you can smell the infestation. It's got this sickly, sweet smell of fucking cockroach shit.
Yeah, like it's like syrupy.
Ugh, it's like syrup. It's like, oh god.
It's a very distinctive smell.
Yeah, usually you only smell it when you're going to like an abandoned house.
Yeah, and you know, and Floridians know exactly what that smells.
Yeah.
As soon as you walk in, you smell it. Kind of smells like syrup, but like not
like
good.
a weird, like a kind of a fucking maple syrup smell that you don't want that syrup.
Yeah,
you don't want those. You don't want them pancakes.
No.
You're like, ugh. Yeah.
Grampler says, "Why is the crunch so loud when you step on a palmetto?"
They're fucking strong, man.
Yeah,
they're strong and they're aggressive.
Yeah, they're assholes.
If you surprise one of them, it'll rear up and look at you. The head will fucking look at you and shit. And go, get the fuck out of here. And start looking.
I still remember.
And they're that big, man. They're the size of a mouse.
And this is from like the 90s.
Yeah.
If you guys remember that comedian, like Paula Poundstone, and she was talking about doing a show in Florida and talking about how big the bugs were in Florida. And she's like, you can't even, like squinch it with like toilet paper or something like that. They're too big. And she said, and somebody in the crowd said, use a brick. And she said, I'm not dropping a brick on a Florida bug.
Yeah.
You drop a brick on a Florida bug, in a minute that brick will start to move, and now the bug has a weapon. You know what I mean? And I'm like, accurate. So I just thought that was very funny. So, and she's not even from here. So yeah. Horrifying, but haven't we get on that? Oh yeah. So again, we went off on a whole tangent because of the animal cruelty, and I was talking about the only animal I can kill without feeling too bad about it is a cockroach. And only if they're in the house. I don't kill them if they're outside. Unless they get on me or something like that. I did have one land on my chest in the middle of the night, like at my grandma's house. Holy crap. That was
I had one run across me one time.
Yeah.
They come in the house.
And I had one, this was also at my grandma's house. I put on a shirt. And the shirt had a pocket, and I didn't know, but there was a bug in the pocket. And it went, and I was just kind of like, blah!
Yeah.
Oh my god, I flipped out.
Here in the South, that's not a sign of being in a bad house or anything. These are beautiful fucking brand new houses. And, it's just
there's everywhere.
They can slide right underneath the door.
Yeah.
They're going to come in there and get something to eat. And one time I was fucking in Mississippi. I was fell asleep in front of television in the middle of the night, spending the night at the fucking friend's of mine's house. When I was a teenager, I was probably about 13 or 14. And was watching fucking HBO, fell asleep, woke up, something was tugging, and looked down, and there was a fucking cockroach eating my fingernail. I was like, what the fuck? And it ran off.
Ew.
Yeah. And
they'll eat anything. They'll eat books, they'll eat paper, it's like whatever.
And they're that big, man. They're big. That's fucking freaked me out.
They're horrible. I would have
took a bite out of my fingernail.
I would have had to take a bleach shower after that. Oh, we got another super chat from Klaus. Thank you very much. Also, Papa77 said, I had one run up my nose and out my mouth. Nasty.
No,
oh my god, I can't imagine.
Stop it.
Please don't. Now I'm going to have nightmares about that. Thanks a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it cost us 50 kroners. I think that's what they call it. Isn't that
that's
kroner?
Right. Yeah, didn't they?
It's a kroner,
we established that before.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I have no idea.
Yeah. Little crowns. Oh,
and we got... Oh, Stu sent us one, too. Thank you very much. Hi, how was trip, Tom? Missed you. And hi, Jen. How was your day?
It was all right. It was kind of a waste of time, but whatever.
He's like, it was kind of boring. He stayed in a nice, like, Airbnb.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Like, he sent me,
had
like,
an elevator
videos of it. It was, like, 3 stories or something.
3 stories, a bunch of fucking rooms in it.
He's like, ooh, look at this place. I was like, wow, fancy.
Beach house.
Yeah, it was like a
beach house on the Gulf of America. There's no fucking waves or anything, and I didn't want to go down there. Like, yeah, fuck that.
You didn't even swim in the pool or nothing?
No. I didn't give a shit about any of that.
Because the pool was nice.
This is just I showed it to you, didn't I?
Yeah, he sent me the video.
I didn't give a shit.
I would have swam in a pool.
It was just boring.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
I'm not into that kind of stuff.
It was just kind of a hangout with your family. You know.
Now, if we were gonna go down there to go shoot a porn scene, yeah, it'd be fun. But
it'd be fun then.
Yeah, you get in a pool, baby. We get the camera rolling.
You know what I mean? Oh my god.
Yeah.
So
that's just all boring.
Yeah,
I can see that. Get you a drink.
Yeah. I'm getting low.
Yeah.
So this motherfucker, even from a young age, like I said, I'm not advocating, you know, drowning your kid at birth or anything like that. I'm not advocating that, although I think this guy should have been. But like I said, if your kid is 5 and doing this kind of shit to animals and stuff like that, you need to really like assess what you're gonna do about the situation, because this child is going to be a problem for society at large when he gets older, if you don't nip that in the bud, like I said. However you interpret that. So there was all of this. Like I said, his dad was kind of like, didn't really give a shit about it. Like I said, I know this is 50s and 60s, and they were just kind of like, they're just animals, who cares? You know what I mean? And his dad was also kind of a piece of shit, evidently. So he was just kind of like, he had also drowned cats and shit like that, which, oh my god, my ex-mother-in-law said she did that too. I'm like, what? Oh my god, I was so upset. Thank you again, Stu. Did you watch my movie reviews best? Not yet. I haven't watched them yet. I was working all day today and yesterday and the day before. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I will get around to it. I promise. So yeah. So because of this, he said later, Keith Jesperson, that because his dad, because I think, okay, I'm not a psychoanalyst or anything like that, obviously, but I kind of feel like maybe what the deal was, if you're a kid, like a boy, and your dad is an abusive, drunken shitbag and just beats the crap out of you all the time and you can't do anything right and blah, 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 and then you do something horrible to an animal and he's just like, hey, way to go, slugger. Maybe he's like, well, maybe I should do more of that. Dad likes that. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's as simple as that, but I do kind of feel like that maybe was a factor.
This whole drowning cats thing, your ex-mother-in-law was drowning cats?
Yeah.
Why?
That's what I said. I was like, what on earth would possess you to do such a thing?
It must be like a poverty-based thing. Oh, well, the cats are begging, we can't feed them, and there's
I think it's just that.
So we're going to kill them. You know, it's just kind of a weird shit.
I'm like, holy crap, even if you can't feed them, at least like let them, like, especially cats, they're pretty independent. They can probably make their own way. Give them a fucking chance. Jesus Christ. Although if I could adopt all the cats, I totally would. You know what I mean? I even felt bad when we went and adopted Bam, little Bambi, and you know there was 2 other cats there in the thing too, and I was just kind of like, can we have all of them? Or I was like, I know we couldn't, we can't afford that, but you know what I mean. The 3 that we have like eat us out of house and home. It costs so much to feed them, but it's like I'm not complaining. It's like, you know what I mean. I would rather feed them than feed me, honestly. So yeah. So here's another... So as if all of the animal cruelty and all that shit wasn't enough of a red flag, this kid also did, like, 2 attempted murders of humans before he was a teenager. Okay? So, yeah. So, this guy, I think, probably like a bad seed. You know what I mean? Now, when Keith was about 10 years old, he was friends with this boy who I think was like a neighbor of theirs. And the boy's name was Martin. And I don't think he really liked Martin all that much, but I think it was kind of a thing where he was just like the only kid around, or that he was his age or whatever. So they hung out together and would get in trouble all the time. And he said, and like I said, you have to take everything this motherfucker says with a grain of salt, because he's like endlessly not taking responsibility for stuff that he does. So like everything is somebody else's fault. Like, you know, the circumstances or this other person like forced me into the situation where I had no choice but to blah blah, like do this thing. So he has that kind of situation. So I'm not sure like how accurate this is, but he said that he would do shit and Martin would do stuff like bad things, and Keith would get blamed for it, and they would have arguments about it. And so at some point when they're both about 10 years old, Keith like attacks Martin and basically tried to kill him. And he said he would have killed him if his father hadn't pulled him off. Like, he actually beat him to unconsciousness when he was 10. So he did that. But his father was like, hey, that's going a little far, you know? Kill all the animals you want, but let's not kill the neighbor kid, okay?
The killing the animals thing is odd.
Yeah.
My family's, you know, from South, and spent a lot of time in Mississippi, growing up in Mississippi for the summers and shits and generations. It is the lowest per capita income is in Mississippi. It also has the highest murder rate, but it also has the highest satisfaction of life rate. There, people love it.
I wonder if they're polling the same people.
No, they know it is. They know. Just they understand the mentality. But the thing is that they fucking, these poor people will have all kinds of animals. They love animals, cats and shit. Just because you can't feed them doesn't mean you have to kill them. They don't feed them. They just let them come over and pet them and let them have shelter, and they're out all the time. They feed themselves.
Most of them are pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah, they feed themselves, and then they come back in. Yeah, look what I caught. You know, yeah, eat that. You know, it's just, so there's, it's a weird mentality. Well, we have these cats, we have to kill them because we can't feed them. They feed themselves.
Yeah, it was like
the dogs will kind of do that too, as long as it's free. You know, so
I mean, I feel like cats are generally more independent than dogs are, but on the other hand, like dogs will also eat anything.
Yeah, dogs will eat anything.
So they will probably also be.
Yeah, a lot of the dogs that I knew that people had, you know what I mean, they were outside dogs. They didn't really come inside. They slept on porches, and they fed them like some, but a lot of times they were just gone all the day looking for stuff to eat, and then they'd come back in. It was like a job.
Yeah.
Like they would.
Well, that's exactly what it is, because
it's a job.
I mean, that's what humans have, jobs so they can pay to have money so they can eat food.
I think that might be more of a fucking an urban or suburban concept where you can't let the animal roam free.
Well, it's a lot more dangerous in urban environments, obviously, because you know it's not really the same.
Maybe.
But I don't know. I've kind of heard it from both ends. Like, even some people that live out in rural things are just kind of like, oh, the cat had kittens, we can't have that. It's like,
there's too many of them, but they usually give them away.
Yeah, it's like, why not? Like, there's always somebody. It's like, I'll take it.
Yeah, they usually just
give me the kittens. I will, you know, just please don't do anything terrible to animals.
The cats were here for centuries, and fucking there was no birth control for the cats. The cats didn't come inside. You didn't feed them. They just hung around.
Well, that's why they just harp on you. As soon as you get a cat, get it fixed.
Get it fixed. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. If you don't do that, that's on you.
But, you know, nature left to its course. There'd just be a bunch of cats in the area, then they'll break up. They'll scatter because they can't feed themselves because all the other cats are getting food. You know what I mean? They didn't feed them. Cat food wasn't invented until, what, the 40s?
Something like that, yeah. We saw a whole documentary about it.
Yeah, 40s or 50s.
Because everybody just gave them, like, scraps.
They didn't feed cats. Cats fed themselves.
Yeah. Like I said, cats are pretty self-sufficient. They like being in the house and being fed and stuff because it's easy. I mean, who wouldn't like that? I would also like to just lay around and nap all day and have food laid out for me.
I think it's just a human presumption that the cat needs you. They don't. They actually they just like you, so they want to hang out with you.
Yeah, that's all.
If you weren't feeding them, they'd just be gone hunting, and they'd come back and see you when they were done.
Yeah,
that's all they do.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So. All right. So the first attempted murder, he attempted to beat his frenemy Martin to death when he was 10. Then when he was 11, he's out swimming in this lake, and then another boy, I guess, kind of farting around, because man, what the fuck is with these kids back then? I don't know, man. This other kid held him underwater, until he blacked out, so he says. And then after that, like, Keith came back and pushed that kid underwater and would have drowned him, like, but somebody intervened. And he later said that he had every intention of killing that kid, but somebody came and pulled him off. Like I said, he was 11 years old at this stage. Now, he also reported that he was sexually assaulted when he was 14 years old. I don't know by whom, and I don't know if that's ever been corroborated. It might just be a story because he does make shit up. But, you know, I wouldn't really like to presume, but I'm just saying, you know, I don't really know. I don't know any details about that. Now, he did graduate from high school. Like he said, he wasn't stupid. He just didn't really apply himself or anything like that. He was just kind of average intelligence, you know what I mean? So he graduated in 1973, just a year after I was born, actually. And he didn't go to college because I guess his dad thought he was too much of a dummy to be able to hack it. So there's that. Now, he had never been, because of his size, and I guess he was kind of socially awkward and things of that nature, he never had a girlfriend or anything like that. Like, through high school, like, girls were not interested in him. Everyone, like I said, everyone kind of bullied him and things of that, things like that. However, he did manage to meet a girl in 1975. I'm not sure where he met her at. Like, he was 20 years old, and he married this woman named Rose Huck. And they ended up having 3 kids, like 2 girls and a boy. And I think at this point, like, he worked a little bit as a truck driver, like, to support the family. Like I said, this is in the mid-1970s. So, yeah, so even serial killers, he wasn't a serial killer at this point, but he's still probably, I'd imagine, like a piece of shit. And considering how he talked about women and how he treated women, like, later on, I can imagine that his wife was probably miserable. Like, the way that he treated her. Especially back in this era, when you could kind of get away with it more. But he did find somebody to marry somehow. Now, because he was a truck driver, he was out banging everything that moved. And, of course, Rose kind of started to become suspicious about this, because, like, strange-ass women would be calling the house and shit like that. And she's like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? So they kind of started arguing and whatnot. Now, they actually were married for 14 years.
Damn.
Which is a long time, you know what I mean? And, you know, he was on the road all this time, like I said, fucking around. I'm sure he gave her some diseases. I don't even know.
Was he killing by this time?
No. He didn't. He actually did, that they know of.
All right.
It's possible that he killed people before this, but they don't think that he killed anybody until after she left him.
And how old was he more or less when that happened?
When he started killing? About 35.
About 35. That's weird. He started late.
He started late.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of suspect
There's had to be other ones.
that there were probably ones earlier than that.
Yeah.
Because it's very unusual for us. It's not unheard of. It's just really unusual for a serial killer to start that late. Usually they start. Now, he did do the animal cruelty, and he did say that, like, when he was a kid, like, thinking about doing these horrible things to animals, made him think, ooh, what would it be like to do this to a person? Like, I bet that's even better. You know what I mean? Like, he would think that kind of way.
Nah.
So I kind of find it hard to believe that he waited until he was 35.
I think what happened was he was doing that probably when he was 17, 18, 19. But he doesn't want to say that he did that because it was a child.
That could be because that, like, Ted Bundy pulled that shit too.
Yeah.
Like, because remember, he killed that 12-year-old, it was a 12-year-old girl, right?
And he wouldn't admit to that one.
He would not. He would admit to all the other ones. He would not admit to that. But they know he did it, though.
Yeah, I think he probably started off with some children.
It would not shock me, honestly.
Then he stopped for a while.
It would not shock me.
Yeah, then he stopped for a while, and then he started later. Something like that. Nah, it just, that doesn't fit the mold.
I was kind of thinking that, too.
Yeah.
Especially someone of this personality type. Yeah, because generally, you know, as a kid, it's just, you know, obviously this, not all of them are like this, but a lot of them, it's kind of a pattern. And you see, like, the cruelty to animals, like, when they're children, and then as they get older and they can lord it over, they'll start picking on kids smaller than them.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so sometimes their first victims will be kids younger than them.
I bet you some.
I mean, he did attempt a couple, like when he was 10, 11,
Guaranteed.
kids his same age. Because he was pretty big, like even at that age, so. You
go back to him when he's like 16 to 19, 20, wherever he was. I bet you there's missing children. It corresponds to that time.
Yeah, now I kind of wonder. Like missing kids that they never found.
Missing kids that they never found.
I mean, because there's always those.
Yeah.
Wonder if they checked into that. Because they did actually, like... I think they're still kind of checking into it. It's like, not...
Wouldn't surprise me if there's 3 or 4.
There might be, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, that wouldn't surprise me at all. If he started earlier.
Yeah, he started earlier, and then he probably stopped in his 20s.
I mean, although, on the other hand...
Yeah.
Sometimes, if someone who later becomes a serial killer gets married and has kids and stuff like that, sometimes that seems to like tamp their urges down for a while. So the fact that he got married fairly young, like he was 20.
There he goes. There you go. Maybe he stopped when he did.
Well, yeah. So yeah, and then he was married for 14 years, and they had 3 kids, and then after she left him, then maybe it started up. But I think that maybe there might have been some in his teenage years that they don't know about.
That's got to be, and he didn't admit to them because they were kids.
Because they were probably kids.
Yeah, and probably some of them were boys, something like that.
Yeah, it might have been
something he didn't want to admit to.
Yeah, because
maybe he didn't want to admit to it not because they were kids. They might have been boys.
Yeah, because this guy, too, he seems like I said, he likes to come up with all these fanciful stories. He likes to admit to shit that they know that he couldn't have done. And he was also kind of like BTK, one of those motherfuckers that when somebody else, as we'll get into, got blamed for one of his murders, he started writing to the newspapers and stuff like that saying, "No, it was me."
Yeah.
Because he wanted to take credit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he necessarily wanted to get caught.
Right.
He just didn't want other people getting the credit for their shit.
Right.
So... he was one of those self-aggrandizing motherfuckers. So sometimes serial killers like that, they'll admit to all this crazy shit they did, and some of it's even true, but if they did some shit that they're embarrassed about, like I said, the whole Ted Bundy thing with like fucking the severed heads and killing the 12-year-old girl and stuff like that, like he wouldn't admit to shit like that.
Yeah.
Because that was like embarrassing for him. It didn't make him look like a badass.
Yeah.
In his mind.
And I guarantee you, if Bundy got any boys, he wouldn't admit to that either, because he wouldn't want to look gay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Anything that they think makes them look weak, they're not going to admit to.
Yeah, but I think in their development, in the early developmental stages of these guys, they don't really care about the gender too much. I don't think they just want the thrill of it.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if it's little girls and little boys, probably a mixture. Probably boys. Probably be easier to get a hold of.
Maybe so. Cause
parents aren't watching as closely.
And like I said, the first 2 attempted murders that he did were both little boys.
Boys, yeah.
Friends with, or kind of friends or acquaintances with. At least according to...
Yeah. And boys were picking on him.
Yeah.
So
everybody kind of picked on him.
So, yeah. That's just my gut instinct. Boys.
Probably so. Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me. They haven't linked anything like that to him, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
Missing boys. I would look for missing boys in the areas where he was.
In the area where he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should look into that shit. So he was married to this woman, Rose, for 14 years. They had 3 kids, and she didn't know about I don't think she knew about any of the animal cruelty or the attempted murders or anything like that. I don't imagine he would have told her any of that unless he didn't think it was a big deal. But, she just suspected that he was sleeping around, which he was. And so when he was out on a job, like out driving around, she packed all the shit and the kids and she took off and left. And like, good for her. It's, like I said, considering what kind of person he is, I'm sure he probably fucking beat on her too. So yeah, she got the fuck out of there. And she went and moved back in with her parents. The thing about it though was that I guess it couldn't have been that bad, or, I'm not really sure what the laws were like at the time, but they eventually, I don't even think the divorce was final until later, but he would still come and see the kids, like, on weekends and stuff. So I guess nobody thought he was, like, a red flag and was like, no, you can't see the kids or anything like that. So when he was 35 years old, like I said, shortly after his wife left him, Like I say, he was a big dude, about 6'7", something like that. About 250, 260 pounds, something like that. He wanted to... I kind of feel like he was another one of those kind of like cop groupies. He wanted to join the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, because he's still in Canada at this stage. And so he gets into the program, like for the training or whatever. And what happened, and this might have been a catalyst also, perhaps. During the training, he fell off. They were doing like a rope climbing thing, and he fell and injured himself quite badly. And so obviously he couldn't continue with the training because, you know, he was too badly injured. So they were like, okay, well, you can't continue with the program because you got hurt. You know what I mean? So this might have been kind of the final nail in the coffin, I feel like, because, you know, his wife had left him and taken the kids, and then his quote-unquote dream job, he thought he was working his way toward it, but then, like, this injury happened and he couldn't continue, and so he probably felt like, oh man, the world is against me, because he is really a poor me, like, pity party motherfucker. The world is against me, I'm just gonna lash out. Like, it was that kind of thing. So I think that might have been a catalyst also. So at this stage, it seems that he decided that he was just going to go full on. He was just going to unleash his latent instincts, I guess, if you want to say it like that. So at this stage, like, they moved to Washington State and was living in a trailer park. And he would again, like, become a truck driver. And again, like, because he was already thinking about, hey, wouldn't it be cool to, like, go around and start killing people, he's like, this is kind of the perfect job to do that. So he got a job. There was, like, a long-haul trucking company in Cheney, Washington, not too far from Spokane, and he got hired there. And it was kind of like, so he was going, like, all over the U.S., you know, not just in the Pacific Northwest, but he was in California, like, he, you know, Midwest, South, like even in Florida and shit like that. So he was like driving all over the country. And it's about here, as far as anyone knows, that he killed his first victim. Like I said, as far as anyone knows. I kind of feel like there were probably some before this, but, you know, I don't know. This is all that they've proven so far. January 23rd, 1990. So there's a 23-year-old woman whose name was, it's either Taunja or Taunja. I've heard it pronounced both ways, so please forgive me. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to call her Taunja because I've never heard Taunja, but yeah. Taunja Bennett. And she decides she's going to go out, you know, hang out with her friends, have some drinks, shit like that. Like. So she goes to a place called the B&I Tavern, which is one of her favorite bars, and it was in Portland, Oregon. And she starts drinking, you know, beer, wine, whatever, and she starts getting a little bit inebriated. Now, I will note here that according to Tanya's family, she was a little bit, how are we going to say this? A little slow, you know?
Slow?
Like not, you know, she was still could function and stuff like that, but she was
70 IQ, 65.
Kind of slow. She was a little slow.
Yeah.
And another thing that they said too was that she was real naive. You know what I mean? Like she was very trusting of people and shit like that. Which, you know, and she was only 23, so I'm sure that didn't help. So she's in this tavern, and as it happened, Keith Jesperson was also in this very same tavern in Portland. And it seemed, no one's entirely sure. Ooh, there's Pookie. Look at her. Crampler says, Loretta Lynn and Jack White did a duet called Portland, Oregon. Oh. Tom Baker says people are still naive. I mean, some people are, yeah.
In different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, CB said she had a learning disability. Yeah, it was something like that. She was a little bit, like I said, a little mentally disabled.
And people in general back in this time were all low information anyway. Didn't matter if they had a high IQ. They couldn't access any information.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is 1990.
Okay,
which
so
still pre-internet.
Still pre-internet.
Mostly. But it's like it's not quite like the 70s, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're not quite sure. Like, they know he was in the bar because he kind of sticks out, you know what I mean? Because he's big. He's really tall. I heard somebody called him a baby Huey type.
Yeah, baby.
You know what I mean? Like a big fucking, like I said, a big Ed Kemper motherfucker. So he's in this bar, and he seems to get more and more interested in Taunja as she gets drunker and drunker. So I guess he was kind of like watching her and targeted her because of her vulnerability. You know what I mean? Like as predators do.
She was available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he sees her over by the pool table, goes over, introduces himself and says, "Hey, I'll buy you a drink." And she says, "Okay." They're not entirely sure what name he told her. He could have used his real name. He did that sometimes. He used a lot of aliases too, but the aliases were usually variations of his actual name. He might have just given her the first name. They're not entirely sure. So he basically, he's like, kind of befriends her, buys her a drink. They're talking, all this other kind of shit. And she just thinks, it's a nice guy or whatever. And at one point, like, he kind of left the bar for a little while. I'm not entirely sure why he did this. And then he came back later on. And then she was leaving. And he met her outside and said, "Hey, do you want to go out? I'll take you out to dinner." And she was like, "Okay." And then evidently he looked in his wallet and realized, or at least this he told her, that he realized, "Oh, I don't have enough money to buy us dinner. But if you come back to my house, I've got more money there, and then we'll go out to dinner." And like I said, she's a little slow. She was kind of probably pretty drunk at this point.
Yeah.
So she says, "Okay." Now, when they get back to his house, basically he coaxes her, coerces her into having sex with him. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if he forced her. I'm not sure if he talked her into it. I'm not sure.
He didn't even pay for the date.
Right.
Motherfucker tried to... Okay.
Cheap motherfucker.
Cheap motherfucker.
But yeah, so, I mean, he might have forced her. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
We're just kind of going by what he said, and he's kind of a liar. So he might have been trying to make himself look better than he did. He might have just straight up raped her.
Yeah.
Because he did that to some of the other women. So, evidently, so they have sex, or he raped her, or whatever the fuck happened. We don't really know. And then, apparently, they got into an argument, at least according to him. And he started, like, making fun of her and all this other kind of crap. And she started yelling back at him or fighting back, at least according to him. And then he got really mad and he started beating on her. Now, keep in mind, this is a tiny 23-year-old girl. He is a huge 6'7" man, right? It's like she doesn't have a fucking chance, right? So he just starts beating on her. And then he puts one of his hands around her neck and then gets a rope and just ties around the rope and just pulls it and just fucking strangles her. And then he, like, sat there and just, like, watched her die. Like, you know what I mean? And he kind of got off on it.
I missed. I was reading. How did he kill her?
He strangled her with a rope.
Oh, okay.
Like, he beat the shit out of her. And then he strangled her with a rope.
Yeah.
And then he leaves her in the house, which was a rented house. He goes back to that same tavern, the B&I Tavern, and just sits there and has some more beers like nothing happened, trying to establish an alibi, I'm imagining. Yeah. So, because he went there and he made like a little bit, not of a spectacle of himself, but he made sure he was seen. You know what I mean? Like he talked to people and shit like that.
Yeah.
So he goes back, he has a few more drinks, and then he goes back to the house, puts her body in the car, in the front seat, and he drove like out of Portland, like on this kind of old highway that was all dark and everything like that, and basically, like dumped her
on the road
off the side of the road, like off like off an embankment. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just rolled down this fucking embankment.
Rolled down a hill. Yeah.
Yeah. So then he drives a little bit farther. She had a Walkman. This is still 1990.
Yeah.
He threw that out the window. And then he drives to this truck stop and sat in there for several hours, like just drinking cups of coffee. Again, being seen, so he would have an alibi. And then he drove up this other highway and threw out her purse, which like had her ID and everything like that. They just threw it over an embankment.
Yeah, he probably didn't see it. He probably noticed that it was in there.
Yeah.
Or he would have thrown it off with the body, probably.
Either that or he was trying to like spread shit out so it wouldn't be connected.
Maybe.
Or something like that.
Usually they don't seem to care.
Probably, yeah.
The body and the idea of the body can go together. They don't care. He probably didn't see it. It was probably in the back seat.
Yeah,
Something
maybe
like
so.
that.
But yeah, he just like chucked her purse out.
Yeah.
So the Walkman and the purse and the body were
Probably
like...
went through it to see if she had any money, too. How much you bet?
That sounds like something he would do.
Yeah.
So a few days later, someone found her body. Like, because it had fallen down the embankment.
Didn't hide it very well, did he?
No, yeah, I'm not really sure what the person was doing when they found it. It was just somebody walking by, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, they couldn't identify her at first. So at first she was just a Jane Doe. And no one had reported anyone of her description missing. They knew she'd been murdered because she was obviously had been beaten up and had been strangled. And one significant detail was that one of her teeth had punctured her lower lip. So I guess like when he punched her, like the tooth came
knocked
through.
her fucking lip up into her tooth.
And also the rope was still around her neck.
He left the rope around her neck.
Yeah.
Oh, he's trying to tell him. That wasn't by accident.
No.
Yeah. He's trying to tell him how he killed her.
Yeah, I reckon so.
That's the only explanation.
So they described...
Why would you give him the murder weapon?
Yeah.
So
they described this girl, what she looked like, and eventually, like, someone came forward and identified her. Now, they didn't really have any leads, obviously. Like, no one had seen her with anybody or anything like that. Now, here's the crazy part. Now, this actually had nothing to do with Keith as a whole, but this was one of the reasons... I don't think it was the only reason, but it was one of the reasons why he wasn't caught for a long time. Listen to this bullshit. So not too long after this murder happened, there's this woman named Laverne Pavlinac, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She was like in her late 50s. Big true crime fan. Loved Matlock. She loved true crime books and shit like that. She was in an abusive relationship with her boyfriend and had been for like a decade or something like that. And she decided, he was quite a bit younger than her. He was like in his early 40s. His name was John Sosnovsky. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And for whatever reason, she's like, this dude beats on me. I think the best thing to do in this situation is to call the police and accuse him of this murder. Right? So that's what she decided to do. She learned everything she could learn about the Taunja's case. And then she calls up the detectives who were working, because like I said, she's kind of a true crime junkie, which I am too, but I would never in a million years do anything like this. Look, if your boyfriend is beating the shit out of you, there are easier ways to get rid of him than going through this rigmarole. Seriously. Holy crap. This is just crazy to me that she did this. But she's not in her right mind, obviously. So she calls the detectives in charge of Taunja's case. And she's like, I have some information for you. My boyfriend, John Sosnovsky, killed her. Now, at first, they didn't really believe her. So her story kind of escalated as it went on. I mean, she did have a lot of details about the case, but all of the details were shit that she got from the media.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was all stuff that had been published in the media. But she was like really good at, I guess, telling a story. But I guess at first they didn't quite believe her. So then she said that she had helped him do it. Like, I didn't want to, but he made me, help, like, rape her and kill her. And then I helped get rid of the body. She had to know that if he was found guilty, she also would be. Because that's accessory. But I guess she really wanted to get fucking rid of this dude. Okay? So she said, yeah, he did it and I helped. And I helped. So yeah, that's what she said. So, I mean, she said he'd forced her, but okay. Now, so, again, the cops are kind of like, well, I don't know, it sounds kind of good. She knew kind of about where the body was and all this other kind of stuff. Now, the only thing they thought was a little fishy was that, well, we found her body, but it's like, she didn't have any other shit with her, like in her purse or anything like that. And she didn't know where any of that was. So they thought that was a little sus. But they were like, well, man, she does know a lot about the case, and it does kind of sound, so it kind of sounded legit. So they did these investigations and stuff like that. And the long and short of it is they went and talked to her boyfriend, and he basically said, no, it wasn't me. But then, like, as they kept questioning him and shit like that, and I guess the cops basically were like, well, if you don't admit or something, like, I don't know what they said to him exactly. But they basically said, well, if you did this, you're going to get the death penalty or whatever. So he confessed and pleaded guilty. Even though he didn't do it, obviously, because this Keith Jesperson motherfucker had done it. So this completely innocent person
confessed to
it, and because his girlfriend had turned him in for it because she wanted to get rid of his abusive ass.
She just wanted to get rid of him, yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
That's
I mean, like I said, this is fucking crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. This is American as fuck.
It kind of is, sadly. Yeah. So because Laverne had come up with such a confession, because like I said, she was really interested in true crime and she knew all the details, like inside and out, and so they thought it sounded like pretty good. And like he eventually confessed. I don't know how much they, coerced him into it or whatever. But they went on trial, both of them, and they were both found guilty. So he got life in prison, and Laverne, the girlfriend, she got 10 years. Now, she didn't expect... I think she did expect to get some prison time, but 10 years, she's like, oh, no, that's a little too much. So after she got the 10-year sentence, she started changing her story, saying, no, you know what? Never mind. I made it all up. But at this point, they're already in jail, and they're just like, yeah, sure, whatever. But, I mean, once you're in jail, it's really hard to get back out, which is like a shitty situation in a lot of ways. But particularly in these, I will say it's really shitty what happened to them. Well, what happened to him? Maybe he was abusive, so in that case, I don't feel that bad, but it's just kind of like her going to prison. I'm like, you kind of brought that on yourself. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, you should have just kept your mouth still. Y'all didn't have anything to do with it. And now you're both in prison. Good job. So he got life. She got 10 years. So, yeah, in 10 years, that was too much. And she was just kind of like, oh, never mind, I made it up. And they're just like, yeah, okay, cool story, bro. Pretty much. So they both go to jail. Now, interestingly, after the murder and after all of that, when they got arrested for it, Keith Jesperson was so incensed that someone else had gotten blamed. I don't know if he was incensed about it or if he just got off on... He just thought it was funny that, like, other people had gotten popped for it. He wrote a confession saying, I'm this, I killed, Taunja Bennett on this date, and I did this and that and the other. And he wrote it on the bathroom wall in a truck stop and signed it with a smiley face. Well, this is one reason why they call him the happy face killer, not just because of this, but he would put happy faces, like, on all his letters and stuff. Because he would later liberate to the media and shit like that, like saying, hey, I killed all these people. So like I said, he's a bragging motherfucker. So he writes it on a truck stop wall for some reason. That it's like, these other two people got accused, but it was me.
They didn't have internet back then.
All
so
this other
that
kind
shit
of
on
shit.
The bathroom wall.
He wrote it on the bathroom wall. It's like, who the fuck is
like
like
some out of a Simon and Garfunkel song.
Yeah, because it was just kind of like, it was like miles and miles away from like where she was last seen, from where the body was found. It was a ridiculous kind of thing. Like eventually, because he didn't get any attention from that, like he would eventually like start writing to newspapers and the police and stuff like that, because he just had to get attention. You know what I mean? So it seems that after killing this first woman, he was kind of into it. Like, he thought it was super fun. But it seems as though, unless there's some other shit in there we don't know about, which, like I said, seems kind of likely at this stage, but it was almost 18 months before his second murder. At least the second one that they could pin on him, you know what I mean?
I still don't buy that.
See,
shit.
That's what I mean. These big gaps like this.
It don't happen.
I don't know.
It doesn't happen in a serial killer pattern. He had some early ones in his teenage years before he got married. He probably had one, maybe two. And it was something he was too embarrassed to talk about. I'm thinking his boys, young boys.
Probably.
Yeah. And they got married and he fucking stopped this thing. And then after that relationship dissolved, he went back to his old ways of killing people, getting a jolt out of it. The power trip. Kind of a revenge trip for being picked on.
Yeah.
That's what I think it was.
Well, like I said, he really did seem like a kind of, the world is out to get me, mother.
Yeah. And
like everything was someone else's fault.
Now he's older, he's big, so now he's expressing his physical power.
Yeah. Oh, he seemed very much into that.
Yes, that's what it... Because he didn't have any spiritual power when he was young. He'd be big, he was big and they were picking on him.
Yeah.
See, he didn't fight. Now he's fighting back. And I think he started fighting back against little boys. But he was too embarrassed to talk about that. Because he was just trying it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just what my gut's telling me.
Yeah.
I got Grampers in here. I went to school with him. He's ex-cop. What do you think, Grampers? There's no way, bro. There's no way that was his first one.
Like I said, it's very rare that a serial killer starts at 35. Not unheard of.
It's something he didn't.
But
he had some early ones. He'd had to.
Very unusual.
Because it got ingrained. It usually gets ingrained in them around puberty.
Yeah.
It becomes part of their sexual identity. And it was something he was too embarrassed to confess about. So I'm thinking it's boys.
Probably,
Little boys.
yeah.
Because he tried to kill a little boy in a fight.
2 times.
Twice. So yeah, it's
2
probably
separate
what it was.
times.
And it involved a sexual assault. And it was probably a much smaller little boy, probably.
Yeah, he definitely seems like he's a big dude and he likes to pick on people much weaker and smaller than himself.
So, we're talking about like a 6 to 10-year-old boy. Something
and
like
when
that.
we get into like some of his quotes later on, like he says shit along those lines.
Yeah.
Like not about little boys, but about feeling power. About
he didn't want to fess up to that. Because that would make him look weak. So that's what I think.
So his next murder, as far as they know, happened sometime in like late summer, or midsummer, like 1992. And this was in California, actually, and it was found on August 30th. But she'd been dead for a while, like when they found her body. Now, this woman, as far as I know, has still not been unidentified. Keith Jesperson would later say that her name was Claudia. That was all he knew. But as far as I know, she has not been identified. Now, a month later, because like I said, see, this is why I don't buy that 18-month gap, because after that gap, like, he started killing people, like, pretty regularly. Like, it wasn't that far apart. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like there was probably some other shit in there, too. And he admitted some other shit in there, but they couldn't prove any of it, you know? So about a month after, so this would have been like September, October of 1992, they found another body, Cynthia Lynn Rose, who was 32 years old. And they found her along Highway 99 in Turlock, California. She had also been dead for quite a while. And I guess they couldn't tell a cause of death because she was too decomposed. So initially, it was ruled a drug overdose. Now, it was around this time period, though, because Keith got mad that nobody saw his truck stop bathroom confession, that he started writing letters to the Oregonian, the newspaper in Portland, Oregon. And he took credit for that murder as well as the 2 earlier ones. I don't know if this was really investigated at the time or they just thought it was a prank. I'm not entirely sure. In this letter, though, or in one letter that he sent to the newspaper, because he wrote to them all the time, like I said, very, very BTK, like he just wanted attention. He said that she had been a sex worker and he picked her up and killed her, and then he signed the letter with a happy face, and so they started calling him the happy face killer. I think like the journalist that had got the letter or whatever like started calling him that, and that's the name that stuck because he would always sign it with a happy face. You know what I mean? They did turn the letters over to the cops, as you would, but they didn't really have a lot of shit to go on. Like I said, he killed people over several states, so there were jurisdictional issues and various things. And like I said, people probably thought it was a crank, you know. Now, the next victim was a 26-year-old woman named Laura Ann Pentland, and they found her in November of 1992 behind a store in Salem, Oregon. And she had been strangled. They could tell that. Now, according to Keith's later account, he said, and this is a very common thread in all of the murders. Like, he confessed eventually to all of the murders, at least the 8 that they know of, and some other ones. But in pretty much every case, he always had, like, some reason why he, like, had to do it. Like, why she pissed him off or she was bitching at him or something like that.
Trying to justify it.
Yeah, so he's always trying to justify it. In this case, he said he picked her up, she was a sex worker, and she had agreed to a certain price and then tried to double the fee. So obviously he had to kill her.
Yeah, that's always some
like
shit
he
like
had
that.
to strangle her.
Or I picked her up and then she tried to rob me, so I had to fucking kill her.
He told that one a couple of times.
That's a real
too.
common one.
He told me that one. Like, I had to do it. What would you have done? Yeah, she's being a bitch to me.
Yeah, she kept trying to take me to a place where her pimp was going to kill me. You know, shit like that.
Yeah, they'll always come up with some reason. Yeah. Like, other than, oh, I just got a chubby, like, doing it. Because that's really the only reason. Because they get off on it. That's what that's
the real reason is that he wanted something, didn't want to pay, and liked the violence.
Yeah. Like I said, they get off on it, so.
But most of them don't have the fucking guts to just say, nah, I just didn't want to pay, and she was hot, and fucking, I like hurting them, and I did it.
Yeah. I mean, he did kind of later say stuff like that later on, but like I said, he didn't seem... He seemed a little bit insightful. Like, he knew that he really got off on violence. He did admit that later. Yeah. But a lot of them don't have a lot of insight into it because they're not that smart. I think there's, like, a misconception. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of, like, Hannibal Lecter and all that kind of stuff, that it's like people think these serial killers are like some kind of geniuses or something like that. They're really not. Like, most of them are just average or below average intelligence.
Yeah.
A lot of times the reason they don't get caught is just because of dumb luck.
Dumb luck and incompetency.
And incompetent cops.
Bad system.
Or shit like this where if there's a trucker and there's like no one can link him to them because they don't know each other. You know what I mean? And this is in the days, well, I mean, this is the 90s. They still had DNA, but it wasn't quite as developed as it is now, I suppose.
In terms of intellect, the closest thing to Hannibal Lecter would have been fucking Ted Bundy, and he wasn't that smart.
And even he wasn't that smart. He thought he was real smart.
He thought he was, he had charisma, although I don't see it.
I don't either.
I look at him, he's just an average bullshitter to me. But other people would be like, oh, he's so charismatic.
Yeah, he never came across like that to me. He just came across like a smarmy fucker.
I think what it is,
and I hate smarmy fuckers.
I think what it was is that people kind of judge these serial killers on a curve.
Yeah.
They're expecting them to be some kind of fucking physical ogres and monsters and, like, you know, totally inept. And when they see somebody who can pass for a normal person, like, oh man, he's so intelligent. But no, fucking Ted Bundy was a failure. He couldn't really cut it in college. He couldn't really make it in a relationship. He was always substandard to his own standards. He was always falling short of what he wanted to be, because he was just a little bit above average. But he thought he was great. But no, he wasn't that great.
Like, a lot of these kind of dudes are losers.
Yeah.
And they know that they're losers, and that's why they're doing this kind of shit. This is like the only way they can get attention.
Yeah, really highly adept guys that have self-mastery and charisma don't get off on this kind of shit. It's not really it.
Yeah, you kind of have to be a loser.
No. The closest thing that would be like to a Hannibal Lecter serial killer who is fucking competent and really good would have been like some dude in the maybe 17 and 1800s who was like a duelist, who would love to challenge dudes to fights and swords and shit. Maybe, you know, fucking Musashi, you know, who was a Japanese duelist is what we would call him. They killed a lot of dudes, but it was an ego thing, and they were trying to fucking kind of like competitive sports. They were going against other people who were ready to fight and agreed to fight. Very different than picking on an innocent person who's, you know, is not looking for a fight, really. You know what I mean? And it's just she's just a sex worker. She's not a combatant. You know?
Yeah. She's just trying to make some money.
Yeah, a real good professional fighter, killer. He doesn't see her as a challenge. He's not turned on by killing her. He's turned on by killing another dude as competent as him in a fair fight in front of everybody to get the glory and the self-satisfaction. Like, yeah, I won. You know, came close. You almost got me. Wow, I'm a fucking great swordsman. So, you know, very different mentalities. But I would say the closest thing you'd ever see for Hannibal Lecter would have been like Musashi. But he wasn't a serial killer. Not by our definitions. He was a duelist. Tom
Baker says the most intelligent was Jack Unterweger. Yeah, we did a show about that guy.
Which one was that guy?
He was the one that did one, if I'm remembered, it's been a while since we did that show. But he did one murder, and then he went to prison, and then he was able to convince everybody, like, he wrote books, and he got, like, all up in the intelligentsia and everything like that. And everybody's like, oh, man, he's fine, like, let him out. And then they let him out, and familiar. Then he started, we did a show about him, like, probably, like, several months ago. So I can't remember, like, all the details, like, right off the top of my head. But, yeah, I hadn't heard of him until somebody, like, mentioned him, like, probably a year ago. And we ended up doing a show about him probably, like, 6 months ago? I don't even remember how long.
When you break it down, when you break a serial killer down, you're never going to get past the fact that really all they are is a serial rapist. That's all they are. They're never going to escape that. It's a serial rapist that just kills the victim. If he wasn't killing the victim, you wouldn't know his name. You wouldn't even worry about it. He would just be a serial rapist to be locked up, just some pervert, you know. But that's really all they are. So you can't really compare them to, say, like a dude like Musashi, you know. He wrote books, you know. And he's held in high regard in Japanese culture. You know, he killed at least 100 guys, if I remember correctly, in duels. And wrote books about it. You know, Book of the Five Rings. Which I read that one's a very good book. You can get it on audiobook on YouTube. It's censored though. He said a lot more cooler shit they took out of there. But he wasn't into killing helpless people or people that were weaker than him. He was into killing trained swordsmen. So it's a very different thing. They just can't get They're never gonna be something that they're not, and they're just serial rapists. That's all they are. That's it.
TV said, no. Kevin Evans said Jack the Ripper was probably a genius for not being caught. I don't think he was a genius for. No, I think he was just.
It was the time.
He was just lucky.
Lucky that it was the time. They didn't have any forensics back then. Today, if he'd done that, he'd been caught.
Like almost immediately.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. They'd have caught him with DNA.
But yeah.
And cameras.
That too. They didn't have any of that back then. Hell, I think even fingerprinting was in its
infancy. They didn't have that shit. Yeah.
When Jack the Ripper was killing people. And the frightening thing is, I wrote about a couple of these on my blog, but it's just kind of like, other than the Jack the Ripper murders, there was a whole series that are just generally called the Whitechapel murders that were murders that they thought maybe could have been Jack the Ripper. There was a bunch of them. Like, that were similar, not quite as gruesome. Some of them kind of were. But there was a lot of fucking murders going on in that area at that time period. Same time period. But yeah, I'm sure there's, like, somebody who's written a book about it. But there's, like, a whole bunch of, like, related cases. Other than the Jack the Ripper ones are the most famous ones, those canonical 5. But there was a whole fuck ton of, like, other murders kind of like that happened around that same time period in that same area. So, not a great time. Back to the good old days, I guess. There's no such thing. It was fucking horrific. So his next victim, who was not identified until later, so she was a Jane Doe. They found her near Santanella, California. And they found her only a couple days after she'd been murdered. And again, her death was ruled a drug overdose at first. But after Keith wrote a letter to the paper or whatever and claimed that victim, they reopened the case and, like, looked into it as a homicide. He actually referred to her as a street person in the letter. They eventually did find out. He called her Carla or Cindy. He said he couldn't really remember what her name was. But they actually did identify her later on. Her name is Patricia Skipple or Skipel. So yeah, they did eventually identify her, but they didn't for a long time. His sixth victim was at first another Jane Doe. And this was about a year later that they found her body. This was September 1994. They found her in Florida, actually, in Crestview, along Interstate 10. So this is in the Panhandle. And it was a road crew found her body. And she was mostly skeleton by this point because it had been such a long time. They thought she was about 40 years old. She was only just identified in October of 2023. She was a Jane Doe for a long time. Her name is actually Suzanne Gellenbergen, I guess. There's a K at the beginning, but I think it's silent. But yeah, he had actually told the police that he had killed someone, and he's like, I thought her name was Suzanne or something like that. So that's who this was. They did eventually identify her, but it wasn't until 2023. Now, this crime here, like I said, we'll talk about what happened to this poor girl like later on. Like I said, thank God she was already dead. But I'll talk about this later after they caught him and he confessed to what he did. Because they actually didn't find her body until after they caught him. You know what I mean? So she wasn't found until September 1995. But he killed her like before that, obviously. She was 21 years old. Her name was Angela Sabriz, and she was from Oklahoma City. She was victim number 7. And she was kind of another one where she was kind of a transient, you know what I mean? So she wasn't reported missing or anything like that. And when they eventually caught him and he said what he had done to her body, and he led them to the body, it's like, oh my God. Like I said, we'll get into that. It's pretty fucked up, like later on. So his 8th victim, he got dumb. Because had he... okay, I don't know if this is true, but it's like, had he continued killing women that were just sex workers or people that he didn't have a connection with, he might have got away with it for a lot longer. But the thing about it was that his 8th victim, almost like he couldn't help himself, was someone that he knew, and that other people knew that he knew her because they were kind of going out.
Problem.
And this is the one that ended... I mean, she got killed anyway, sadly, but it's like, this is the one that got him caught. And this was a 41-year-old woman named Julie Winningham. And they'd actually been going out for a little while. Like, she was divorced. She had been married or was a girlfriend to another truck driver, and they had broken up, and she had moved somewhere else and had met him.
Couldn't resist. Huh?
And people knew that she was dating him, and they knew what his real name was. You know what I mean? But yeah, so she was murdered in March of 1995 in just not too far from Vancouver, Washington. And they, like most of the others, she was strangled, and they had found her naked body. It had been dumped over an embankment alongside Highway 14. And as I said, when they were investigating this murder, they found out that she'd been dating this dude named Keith Jesperson. And all her friends and family knew that because they'd been together a little while. So yeah. So it turned out that because of that, they started to investigate him. That everybody said that they were engaged because she had called him her fiance. Like, he had been divorced for a while at this point. You know what I mean? So they'd been going out for a while, evidently. Now, what they found out, like just from family and friends of the victim, was that the two of them had met at a truck stop in Utah, and she had like hitched a ride with him back to Washington State, and pretty much all of her friends and stuff said, yeah, he was this big, like I said, one of them said that he was like a Baby Huey type of guy, like he was a big giant fucking fucker. So yes, they're like, okay, well, we need to look into this fucking dude then. So they look into his background, and they discover that he has no criminal record, at least in Washington State. They did find a record of his divorce from his first wife, and the fact that he had some kids, but that was about it. You know, so they're like, okay. Now, so what they decided to do when they found out that he was a trucker was they found out where he was employed, and they're like, okay, so what are his routes? Like, where does he go? And so they pulled all of his records of like where he went and stuff. And so they figured out, they're like, okay, well, where's he going to be on a certain kind of date? We want to go apprehend him and like question him about this one murder. That was all they knew about so far. So they found out that he was going to be in New Mexico, Las Cruces, New Mexico. And so they went and like they flew there and they met him there. And they picked him up and questioned him about Julie Winningham's murder. Like I said, he was his girlfriend / fiance. Now, they couldn't get him to talk. Like, he wouldn't confess to anything. And they also didn't have any concrete evidence against him. All they knew at this point was that they had been dating, and all the friends and family said, yeah, like he didn't have a criminal record or nothing, like that they knew of. So they couldn't hold him, obviously, and he wouldn't say anything. So they're like, okay, so they let him go. He went back to his next stop, which was in Arizona, and then, you know, the detective, whose name was Buckner, he went back to Washington State. Now, as it turned out later on, according to Keith Jesperson himself, while he was in Arizona on this job, I guess knowing that he was about to get caught, he evidently, allegedly, made a couple of suicide attempts. Is this true? Don't know. Is it an attempt to garner sympathy? Likely. Not saying he didn't do it. I'm just saying he's kind of one of those motherfuckers that's, like I said, poor me, poor me. So maybe he was just trying to get people to feel sorry for him. I don't really know. Because one of the things that he said was that he had taken all these sleeping pills, but they didn't work. Like, he's like, he took some ridiculous amount of sleeping pills that would, like, kill anybody. And he's just like, and it didn't work. I just had the best sleep of my life. Like, he said shit like that. I took 2 whole bottles of sleeping pills and it didn't do anything.
Tom Baker said that me and you did the best Legend of Hell House review ever. Thank you very much. Why was it the best, though? You tell me why it's the best.
I'm still working on my book versus movie Hell House thing. Coming, yeah. Like I said, I don't know when it's going to be.
Legend of Hell House.
I haven't had time to like finish. I'm almost done. But
it's a fucking masterpiece. I love that movie. It's up there with The Shining.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies from the 70s.
Good haunted house movie.
And it's a great novel too.
Yeah.
Richard Matheson, man, can't go wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm doing like a really detailed like book versus movie of that, because I was actually fascinated by all the differences between the book and the movie. We were rewatching the movie like last week or something like that. Yeah. And I was telling him, because I had just read the book, and I was telling him like,
I want to buy like a deluxe version of that, like a steel book.
Yeah, we should definitely get that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fucking classic. I never get sick of that movie. I love that movie. So yeah. So all this stuff, it's like, yeah, I took 2 bottles of sleeping pills and it didn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not really sure. So, so like I said, at this point, he seems to know that the cops are kind of closing in, right? And he kind of knows he's cooked. So he writes a couple letters. One of them to his kids. I can imagine how they felt when they read that. And a letter to his brother. Now, part of this is... Okay, so this is how this motherfucker talks. Because this is part of the letter that he wrote to his brother. He says, seems like my luck has run out. Is that what happened? His luck has run out. Like it was just some happenstance that he killed all these women and now he's going to get caught for it. Unlucky. I'll never be able to enjoy life on the outside again. I got into a bad situation and got caught up with emotion. Okay? I killed a woman in my truck during an argument.
Bullshit.
Yeah. With all the evidence against me, it looks like I truly am a black sheep. Oh, poor baby. Yeah. The court will appoint me a lawyer, and therefore there will be a trial. I am sure they will kill me for this. I am sorry that I turned out this way. I have been a killer for 5 years and have killed 8 people, assaulted more. I guess I haven't learned anything. Dad always was worried about me because of what I've gone through in the divorce, finances, etc. I've been taking it out on different people. As I saw it, I was hoping they would catch me. I took 48 sleeping pills last night and I woke up well rested. The night before, I took 2 bottles of pills to no avail. They will arrest me today. So that's part, I don't think that's the whole letter, but that's like the kind of bulk of it there. So he puts the letters in the mail and then he calls up the detective and confessed. So he did like say that he did it. Now, he says that he confessed because, and I don't think this is true. Because like I said, this dude did do a lot of this shit, but he's also kind of a little bit of a fantasist, and he also tries to make things... He tries to put himself in the best possible light, which is why he kind of blames all the victims for, like, well, they provoked me. It's like he always kind of frames it like that. Like he didn't have a choice but to do what he did. It was always someone else's fault. Like everyone was picking on him, or life was shitting on him, or she was bitching at me, or something like that. There was always some reason, like someone was picking on him and he had to do it. So he thought, well, I'm either going to be sentenced to life in prison or I'm going to get executed, and, you know, I'll be off the streets. Like, you know, everyone will be safe for me. I'm like, yeah, like you really care about that. Okay. So because he had called and confessed, the detective flies out to Arizona, and, you know, they arrested him and returned him to Washington State. And at first they just charged him with that one murder because he had confessed to it. And this is kind of hilarious. As soon as they get him back to Washington State, he calls up his brother and he says, hey, remember that letter I just sent you where I confessed to killing 8 people? Might want to get rid of that. The brother, bless him, calls a lawyer and was like, should I get rid of that? And they're like, fuck no, give it to the police. And he's like, okay. So the brother gave it to the police. Like, as you should. So the brother did the right thing. He gave it to the police. Destroy the letter. Jesus Christ. So yeah. Nice try, bud. So yeah. And so at this stage, because of that, because they had the letter now, and he said I killed 8 people, so now they start looking into this dude's travel records, and they start contacting other law enforcement agencies, like all in cities where he was and what time he was. Do you have any missing persons cases? Do you have any unsolved murders? Blah, blah, blah. You know, was it like this? Was she strangled? All this other kind of stuff. So it's like they're trying to match up crimes to what he had confessed to. Now, only a few days passed, and they got pretty much immediately like 16 responses from different like law enforcement agencies. Some of them were in Florida, which, like I said, he did kill at least one person in Florida that they know of. Some were in New York. I don't think he killed anyone there, but, you know, that they know of. He did go there. Like I said, he was all over the country, but yeah. So they're like, yeah, we have some similar unsolved murders, so we want to look at your guy. Now, they also went back and looked at all the forensic evidence, DNA, fingerprints, things like that had been collected from all of these murders, and trying to match them to him. So yeah. Now, there was a couple cases, like I said, I think a couple of them that they looked into like didn't really pan out, because there are, sadly, an alarming amount of serial killers that are also truck drivers, like especially like in this era. And so consequently, there are a lot of unsolved murders of just these women who were never reported missing, or somebody, you know, they're estranged from their families and stuff. They just find them in a ditch on the side of a highway somewhere. A lot of times they don't know who they are. Like I said, even some of Keith Jesperson's victims, a couple of them are still unidentified. Because like I said, they're transient, you know, they travel around, like nobody knows where they are, and all this other kind of stuff. It's really sad. And like I said, so a lot of serial killers will prey on that. So there was no shortage of cases that could have been linked to him. And serial killers, particularly ones that prey on sex workers like this and like for sexual motivation, it's very common for the victims to be raped and strangled. I mean, that's probably, I don't have the statistics offhand, but that seems like it's probably the most common thing that serial killers do. Raping and strangling, because they like to get up close and personal, you know what I mean? So I guess it's that, because they like to watch they get off on the power, and they get off on like watching people's lives like draining away from their eyes, I guess. So yes, there was a bunch of different cases that they looked into. Like I said, I don't think they had enough evidence to like prosecute him with any of those, but they started looking into this dude's background. Found out about all the animal cruelty and all that other kind of stuff. You know, killing all the stray dogs and cats, beating them with shovels, strangling them, shit like that. One of the things that he said, because I think this reminded me of something you said earlier, that he got off on the power, and the stupid thing about it is that there's really no inherent power in picking on somebody smaller than you are.
Yeah.
You know, if you have to make yourself feel big or more powerful by picking on somebody who can't fight back, I mean, that's just
that's counterproductive.
That's weak. That's weak. You're not strong. I don't
you're
understand.
gonna make yourself feel weaker.
Yeah, but apparently they don't. I mean, because he was saying when they questioned him like about all the animal, like him being a kid and all the animal cruelty and stuff like that, he compared himself to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger would totally like nail a dog to a board and like shoot it with a BB gun. What the fuck, dude? Shut the fuck up.
If I know all about Arnold. Arnold was, first of all, wasn't very serious. He was a clown. He had a fucking fantastic sense of humor. Women who knew him said that when you looked at him, you wouldn't think that he would, he was good looking, but he wasn't like sexy per se. But they said as soon as you got to know him, they said he was addictive. Fucking, he had a really good personality. So he wasn't all just body. It's just funny how this guy only sees the superficial aspects,
Yeah, it's
just the superficial act. Because he's big, he looks powerful, but that's not where his power came from. Arnold's power came from his personality, who he was. That's really how he won in fucking all those competitions and in Hollywood. It's because people liked him.
Which is a lot more powerful than just beating the crap out of people and animals smaller than yourself. People
forget you going to Olympia, you're doing all this bodybuilding stuff. This is an extension of Mr. Universe, Mr. America. This is not a sport, man. It's a beauty contest. Arnold got famous for beauty contests, male beauty pageant. Okay, it's just they don't call it that. It's kind of like how boys don't say it's a doll; they say it's an action figure.
Or it's not perfume; it's cologne.
It's not. It's cologne. That's right.
Same fucking thing.
Yeah, same thing. It's a beauty pageant.
It's just hilarious that we have to have
Arnold's fucking gorgeous,
different words for it.
Arnold got famous for being gorgeous.
Because can't have stuff that's girly. Thank you very much. We got a super chat from SideQuest here.
What's up, SideQuest?
Did you just get here?
No, she's been here for a while. I forgot to mention her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of looking at my notes. So
no, she jumped in. Fucking, we were 30 minutes into the show.
Oh, okay. So I guess I wasn't seeing that because I was looking at the notes. So so he's comparing himself to Arnold Schwarzenegger when he's talking about killing animals.
Yeah.
And he thought it was funny when the dogs were like scared of him. Like they would pee themselves because they were scared. And he just thought that was funny or cool or whatever.
More weak.
That he got off on instilling fear in animals and in people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he basically said that he liked that feeling so much that it's like, obvious that he would want to do the same thing in people. One of the things that he said that he did with the women that he killed was he would tell them he was going to kill them, and then like he would strangle them, and then he would stop for a while so he could see. So he wanted to see that they saw that they were going to die. Like he
let him come back a couple times. He'd do multiple stranglings.
Yeah, he called it like the death game or something like that. Like he would do shit like that. Because he was getting off on it, like I said.
Yeah.
It's, So it's that. And like I said, he did say later on, remember the incident that I described earlier where he killed the cat and like his dad was just kind of like encouraging about it, like, hey, good job, bud. And he said that all this did is spawn in me the urge to kill again.
Yeah. Getting approval from.
Yeah, like I said, that might have been the only time his dad approved of anything, and like I said, it's just a fucked up situation all around. And he just basically said that, I didn't need to find animals to kill anymore. I just looked for people to kill, and I killed over and over till I was caught. So there was that. And he was trying to kind of frame it too, like with a lot of the shit that he said, that, it's like, oh, I got caught, and now I'm having life behind bars, and I'm paying for it, and, if anybody is cruel like this, we should stop the problem, like before they become a problem like me and all this other kind of stuff. So I think that he wanted the public to see him as like maybe he had some human feelings still, like he was self-aware, but I don't think he was. I think he was just manipulating people's he was manipulating his own image.
Klaus has asked me what movie I was talking about that was up there with The Shining. I'm talking about Legend of Hell House.
Legend of Hell House.
Yeah, you want to see that? Was it 71, 73, 70?
73.
73, yeah.
The book was 71.
Yeah, 73. And then 1973. And it's a great movie, epic. Really good haunted house movie. And we did a review of it. And then Jen's going to do a full-length
like a
video.
Book versus movie.
Yeah, talking about the book and the movie.
It's just taken me forever to do it because
Yeah.
it's like super detailed
Yeah.
and I haven't had much time to work on it.
So you want to see Legend of Hell House?
I'll probably put it on my other channel, my Scare Salon.
Yeah,
channel,
it approaches it's very scientific about parapsychology. It takes it from the viewpoint of the parapsychology and then spiritualism, and it's about a team of people going to go into this super fucking haunted house and why it's haunted. They get into that, and they're in there doing a paranormal investigation, and all kinds of weird shit happens. And yeah, it's good.
Like I said, it's kind of like
It's good. It's British.
The Haunting. Well, the movie's British.
The movie's British.
The book is actually American.
It's American,
Richard
right.
Matheson.
Yeah, in the book it took place in the United States.
Yeah, it was in Maine.
Yeah, it's about his name was Belasco, and he was want of a better word, a fucking sorcerer. Did all kinds of fucking evil shit in the house. He made it haunted for a reason, and it had been boarded up for a long time, and then it changed hands. Rich people owned it, and they sold it off because they needed money, and it became available to do another investigation in there. The first investigation, everybody in the investigation got killed except one person. And the survivor of that first one was a kid when it happened, and he was a medium, and he's in the second one as an adult. So it's a good story. You'll like it. It's up there with The Shining. It's just that it's not a Kubrick movie. It's kind of like a Hammer horror type movie, the way it feels. But it's as good in terms of content. I like it. Great movie. Masterpiece. Okay, so go back.
All right, thank you. So like I said, I think he was trying to manage his image because he'd write a letter. It's just like, oh, I'm such a terrible person and I feel so bad for all the families and blah blah blah. I don't believe that for 1 second. Because then he would turn around like in another letter and he would just say, call the victims garbage. And all this other kind of shit. And then there was this one kind of infamous thing that he said in one letter where he was making a sick joke about selling a self-starter serial killer kit. And this is what he wrote. He said, "This is the offer you've all been dying for. The self-start serial killer kit. Now you can be the only serial killer on your block. Learn from a professional serial killer. Get rid of that unwanted family member. Get that job you always wanted by opening up the slot. Everyone will be dying to meet you. You get a full life size, I guess he means, Julie Winningham lookalike, that was his girlfriend that he killed, doll with extra tough spring-back neck. So you'll soon have the strength to squeeze the shit out of anyone." So, like, he would write shit like that, yeah. But then he would write stuff in another letter going, oh, poor me, like, you know what I mean? I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a monster, blah, blah, blah. Fuck off. So, yeah. And then he would say, "I enjoy screwing with the press and prosecutors through the press. I do what has to be done to get results."
What kind of results is he looking for?
The results in this case, because after he got arrested, he really, really, really did not want the death penalty.
All right.
And because he had sent that letter to his brother, and his brother had turned in the letter to the police, and like I said, he said he killed 8 people, so then they started like kind of leaning on him about that. And he basically started telling his attorney about all of the murders that he had done. And one of the murders that he told about was Angela Sabrese, the 21-year-old. Now, his lawyer said, you probably want to shut your face about that. So he did, but then he started telling the other inmates at the jail, and the inmates said, hey, the motherfucker said this, that, and the other thing. So he's kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth, you know what I mean? He's just kind of like, I didn't do this. Oh, I totally did do this. Like, he's wanted to show off, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, and like I said, he wanted to take credit for it, but I don't think he wanted to get in trouble for it, you know? So his story, they finally got him to say what he had done to Angela Sabrese. He said that he'd picked her up near Spokane, Washington, in January 1985. And she wanted to ride to Port Collins? I can't read that. In Colorado to visit her dad. And he said, bless you, he said that at one point they stopped and she called her dad using, he said it was his credit card, but it was actually his brother's credit card. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean. So she used that to call her dad, collect, I'm assuming, or whatever. And basically, according to him, he said, well, her dad said, well, I don't want to see you, so don't come here. And then, so she's like, okay, well, can you take me to Indiana instead? And while they were driving, according to Jesperson, he says Angela, every time he tried to sleep in the truck, she'd be like, get up, we have to go. Like, I have to get there. You know what I mean? Like, she was trying to get him to... like I said, I don't know if any of this is true or not, because it seems like he's just victim blaming all the time. So it's like, this could be total bullshit. But he's saying it's like, yeah, she was just kept nagging and bitching at me to keep driving. It's like the weather was shitty, I was tired, and all this other kind of shit. So it's like, so basically I just put my... He took a fit, and he had big ass hands too, like he's a big dude, and he just put it against her and just like pushed against her throat like that, like until she fucking died, and then he just fell back to sleep. Now, he says he woke back up a couple hours later and drove into Nebraska. And then he took her body, because she was dead at this point, took like nylon rope and tied her underneath his semi-truck and dragged her body along the road for 12 miles. So she was dead, though. Yeah. She was hanging like underneath his truck. He said he did this because... 2 reasons. He said, well, I think people had seen me with her. I wanted to make sure that she couldn't be identified. 2, she had used my brother's credit card, or he said my credit card, but it was his brother's credit card, to call her dad, and I didn't want her connected with me, so I didn't want her to be recognizable. So he wanted to, like, essentially sand her face off by putting her under the truck and dragging it along the road. He did that for 12 miles. Evidently, her face was completely
flat,
sloughed off back to here.
Grounded off,
It was just ground off. Yeah. One of her arms came off. She was just... There was just chunks. Like, she was in chunks. There was, like, enough of her left that he just dumped the rest of it. But they hadn't found her until after they caught him and he said where she was.
Did the body match the description of what had happened?
Well, yeah.
It did,
it had been a while. Yeah. Like, she was real decomposed and shit.
Was the bones gone and the facial bones
Some of it
gone?
was, yeah. It was mostly the face. Yeah, it said her face was pretty much just ground off. There was, like, nothing of it left.
Yeah.
And I think one of her arms was gone. And maybe her other hand.
He drove down the road like that. Nobody saw it.
Evidently, I don't know if it was in the middle of the night or what. Right. Or maybe people just thought it was roadkill, you know? Yeah. Because all they would have seen was chunks.
No, I'm talking about nobody saw it hanging underneath his
truck. No, he said he put it there where no one could see it.
No one could see it? Yeah.
Like, he knew where that was, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So, what was left of her body... Like, I'm still going to be like that fucking having your face browned off by 12 miles of fucking highway. At least she wasn't still alive. Jesus Christ. I can't. This is like, that's some horror movie shit. So, yeah. So, what was left of her body, he threw it into a ditch, probably about 250 miles away from the truck stop where he had killed her at. And there was still, nylon rope was still tied around her ankles, like from where she'd been, like, lashed to the truck. Now, because he admitted to this, like I said, Angela sadly had not been reported missing. But they did eventually track her dad because she actually had called her father using his brother's credit card. So they were actually able to find that. So he eventually did lead them to where the body was. And they knew that it was hers because one of the things that he said about her was like, oh, she had this tattoo, I think it was on her ankle, of Tweety, Tweety Bird from the cartoons, like flipping the bird or something. And he's like, yeah, she had that. I remember that. And when they found the body, she was pretty decomposed, but they could recognize the tattoo. So they knew that it was her. So there was that. And he also identified like a photo of her. It's like, yeah, that's her, and that's what I did to her. So, you know. So because of that, like I said, they did eventually find her remains, and had been there for many months. Yeah. Now, so that's another one that they have evidence. Now, they wanted, like I said, they were very much wanted to get the death penalty, but Keith very much did not want the death penalty. Now, he had killed Angela in Wyoming. And I'm not sure, like, this is very labyrinthine, like, the way the shit was. Because he wanted to be put on trial. So he kind of manipulated the system for what murders he was going to confess to, depending on which state it was. He wanted to get convicted in Oregon, because even though Oregon does have the death penalty, they hadn't actually done the death penalty since, like, the 60s. So he figured, well, it'll be really unlikely that I'll get the death penalty there because they don't usually do it, even though they still have it. So he didn't want to be tried in Wyoming, where he killed Angela, or any of the other states, because he thought it would be more likely to get the death penalty, and he didn't really want that. So he was trying to be strategic, like, in the shit that he admitted to, and things of that nature. But the thing about it, too, was that he was also kind of a loudmouth, and it seemed like he couldn't help himself. You know, but they ended up matching up, like I said, 8 murders. They had all the like handwriting analysis and stuff, like from the letters that he sent and the letters that he sent to the newspapers admitting to all these murders and shit like that. And he knew details about the crimes that nobody else would have known. Like, there was this one particular murder where there had been, like, duct tape had been used to bind, and they hadn't released that to the media, but he knew. So, like I said, just little shit like that, and it just kind of, like, added all up. And they knew that he was the same guy that had sent those letters to the newspaper as well, just because the handwriting looks, if you look at comparisons, it's exactly the same. Even if you're not a handwriting analyst, you can tell it's the same dude that fucking wrote that. It looks exactly the same. So, yeah. In one letter, he wrote, like I said, I know what I've done has been wrong, and I feel sorry for all the families of my victims. I am, in fact, the happy face killer. I created that man because I wanted to be stopped, but it is hard to just come out and say it. I've prayed many nights in this cold, dark prison cell for the answer, and God has told me to come clear with it all, tell the truth about everything. I will not be happy until I'm replacing that man who was, which we'll get into in a bit, like the guy that was erroneously convicted of one of his murders in the Oregon State Penitentiary for the crime I did, and he goes free. Most people will say that I'm a monster. I'm not a monster. Just like the movie Jurassic Park, I was created by people.
Okay, yeah. Sounds like he's been listening to fucking...
Oh my God.
He's been watching too many damn movies.
What the fuck, dude? It's like, look, please don't be a serial killer, but if you're going to be a serial killer, please do not be an insufferable twat like this, where it's just kind of, oh, it's everyone else's fault but your own. She was a bitch and she made me do it. It's like, oh, people were mean to me. And it's like, fuck off. Oh my God, nobody made you fucking do this but you, okay? Just come on now. Like, and just the fact that he's trying to get, like, fucking sympathy from people in his little cold, dark cell, I'm like, oh my God, go fuck yourself. Seriously. So yeah. So here's the thing. He tried to make it seem like he was doing this big humanitarian act by confessing to Taunja Bennett's murder, which, if you'll remember, that other guy and his crazy girlfriend were convicted of doing. And he's like, no, it was me. Please let them out. Like, I feel so bad that they're in prison, like, that they took the heat for something I did. Did he feel bad? No, I don't think he felt bad at all. Like I said, he was just strategically trying to figure out what was going to be best for him, like where it was going to be least likely that he was going to get the death penalty. And I think he also wanted some kind of brownie points. Like, maybe people would think he was like an all right guy. You know what I mean? Hey, well, he can't be all bad, you know? Like, he did want that guy that was erroneously convicted of one of his murders, like, to get out of prison. Here's the fucked up thing, though. Even after he admitted to killing Taunja Bennett, the cops and the judges and everything like that were kind of reluctant, like, to let those two out. They're like, I don't know, man. It's like they've been in there for like 4 or 5 years at this point, for shit that this motherfucker did. I mean, like I said, Laverne, the girlfriend, she kind of brought it on. You know, she was the one that said, hey, my boyfriend did it, and he did end up confessing, but they didn't do it. This motherfucker did it, and it took them a while. Before they were just kind of like, no, man, we already have the people for that. They're already in prison. This motherfucker maybe did these other ones, but we're not letting them out. But then Keith Jesperson said, tell you what, I'll tell you where Taunja's purse and ID are, because they hadn't been able to find those. And Laverne didn't know. She knew where the body was and shit like that, but the body, that was in the media. Yeah. But they had never found her purse or her identification or anything like that, and he's like, I know just where that is. Yeah. So they let him out of the jail, and he took him exactly where it was. And they're like, okay, well, this motherfucker obviously did do it then. Yeah. Because nobody else would have.
How many years had it been?
It'd been a few years, like four or 5 years at this point.
It's incredible that it was still there.
Yeah, it was still. Well, it was kind of over, and it was just a purse, like, and it was part of her. Like, I saw the crime scene photos, and it was just like her driver's license or whatever, and it was just laying there like in the dirt. It's just like off an overpass, but he knew exactly where it was. Right. And that was the thing that proved to them that they're like, okay, well, I guess you did do it. So they finally let those other two out of prison, because obviously they hadn't done it. Although, like I said, that's kind of on Laverne, because they didn't know this motherfucker.
Women.
They just. I mean,
she could have got rid of his ass another way.
And she was almost 60. She was like old enough to know better. Yeah. Like, why the fuck would you do something like? I mean, I'm not saying maybe her boyfriend was an abusive shithead. I'm just like, you know, he might have been, but it's like, come on now. There's got to be easier ways to deal with that than like making up this whole ass. Hey, he did a murder, and like then you end up in prison too. It's like there's got to be a better way of. I mean, at least like smother him while he's asleep. But I don't know, just something. It's got to be like an easier way to do that. So they finally let those two out after that whole rigmarole. And like I said, and Jesperson tried to get like fucking brownie points out of it, like he was just doing it out of the goodness of his heart or some crap like that, which I don't believe at all, because I don't think he has any goodness in his heart. I think he's just a fucking sociopath.
So, it's all self-serving.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
It's
like
all
I said,
shallow.
I don't really think he gives a single shit about any other person other than himself. Dudes like this usually do not.
Well, they don't have the capability.
No, I don't think so.
It's not there. They're almost kind of like AI. Like evil AI. There's not a person in there, really.
It doesn't seem like. It really doesn't seem like there's any humanity to them.
No, they're
like you said, everything they do is just in service of their own needs and wants. Yeah. If it so happens that helps somebody else, that's good, and they'll take credit for that because they know that will get them brownie points that will, you know, maybe help them later on. But it's like they don't do anything just out of a sense of duty or out of a sense of, hey, I really like this person, I'm going to help this person without expecting anything in return. They don't really seem to have the capacity to do that. Everything is just about them, you know? And this guy in particular, it just seems like everything that he did was in service of his own ends. So yeah, so it ends up that because of his machinations, he did not get the death penalty. He did get convicted in Oregon, but he was given a life sentence. He's eligible for parole, but it's so far in the future that there's no way he's gonna fucking live that long because he's already 70. So there's no way he's gonna get out. Now, like I said, they did actually take him to, I think it was Wyoming, and like tried him for another murder, but then they took him back, and he got convicted for that too. But then like they took him back to Oregon. And at this stage, they're like, well, it's still possible that California or Florida, if they wanted to extradite him for the murders that he did there, because he did a couple in California and he did at least one in Florida as well, that they still have the possibility to do that. I imagine they probably won't, just because he's already in prison, he's not getting out, and it would just seem like, I mean, sadly, it might just be kind of a waste of money, you know, transporting his dumb ass around. He's already off the streets. So I can kind of see that. Like, you know, the families of the victims probably feel differently because it's like, hey, I didn't get justice for, you know, my relative. And I get that, but, you know, there comes a point where it just has to be practicality, too. It's like, if he's in prison and he's not getting out, then I don't think anyone's agenda or nothing will be served by transporting him all over the country and, like, trying to convict him of other things. We know he did the shit because he admitted it, and he knew details about the shit that only the killer would know, so they know that it's pretty much him. Now, the thing, I forgot to say too, that after, like, remember he knew about the purse and that's how they knew? They also did polygraph tests, and he said on the polygraph test, yeah, I killed her, and it was like, yeah, he's telling the truth. And they did a polygraph test to Laverne, and they asked her, hey, did you have anything to do with that? And they knew that she lied. So that was another thing. Even though polygraph tests are kind of bullshit, but you know what I mean. They just, you know, there's a reason they're not admissible in a court of law, because you can get around them. I've seen a lot of true crime shows where they dismissed a suspect initially because, like, well, he passed a polygraph. It's like, it was fine. But then they found out later, the motherfucker did it. You know what I mean? Because some people can pass them. You know what I mean? All it means is that you're nervous. It doesn't necessarily mean anything else. So,
Good night, Taunja. She go to sleep. It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God. You guys like stay up all night.
Yeah.
Just hopefully you don't have to work at 8 in the morning or something like that. She gets up after 4 hours and she's like, why did I stay up all night watching those
two dumbass Americans?
Watching those two dumbass Americans talk about serial killers.
Yeah, but go ahead and check out fucking Legend of Hell House. You'll love that movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Like I said, the book is great too. The book is like has a lot more.
Yeah, it gives more of a background of what happened.
And there's like a lot more
about what Blaska was doing in that house.
Yeah,
that was interesting when she told me. Yeah, and what the women were doing. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, so as I said, now over the years, Keith Jesperson has confessed to some other murders. He only knew their first names, but there was a bunch of them. But thus far, as far as I know, they have not been able to link these to any particular cases. These were largely probably sex workers or transient, and that might not even be their real names. Like, he only knew their first names. He's like, yeah, I killed this girl named Lynn, like in Nevada in 1993 or something like that, which I don't doubt it. But it got to a point where he was getting into Henry Lee Lucas territory where he was just like claiming responsibility for like every fucking murder. Now, remember how I said that before they caught Gary Ridgway, this guy, they were looking at him for some of the Green River Killer murders because the MO was very similar and it was the same area around the same time period, shit like that. Now, around the same time period that he was being questioned in some of the Green River Killer murders, he tells one of the investigators this story. He says that he was out driving around and he sees these two hookers and they're both really hot, and he describes how hot they are and blah, 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 all that kind of crap. And then he says that he hit one of them with his car accidentally and killed her, and then he panicked, and then he put her body in the car, and he was going to go dump her.
What about the other one?
And then, I don't know. This, like I said, don't worry about it because it's his story.
Yeah.
Wait, it gets better.
Okay.
And so he runs over this woman accidentally and is going to go dump the body. So she puts it in the cab of the truck. And drives up the road, and there's this big field, and he's like, and I take this shovel, and, you know, I put her over my shoulder, and I'm going to take her down and bury her in this field. And I put a body on the ground, take all her jewelry off, and, you know, I put it in my pocket, I'm going to keep it. And he's digging the grave, and he's like, as I'm digging the grave, I hear somebody coming toward, like, I hear somebody coming. And so he kneels down and starts watching. Because he's like, I would guess it was some long grass. Like I said, this is a completely bullshit story, but he told one of the investigators this. Now, he says that he's squatting there next to the grave, and no one can see him. And he says this guy comes, and this guy is also carrying a body, but it's in a black plastic bag. And he's like, so this guy puts the body down and also starts digging a grave nearby, like doesn't see him, allegedly. And he says, I'm going to go up and talk to this dude.
Yeah.
We're simpatico.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he goes and talks to him and kind of scares him. And he's like, Keith says, oh, I was just about doing what I was doing, and I saw you, and I came over and I talked to you. It's like, man, isn't it crazy that were both getting rid of bodies at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, but, I just wanted to see you, hey, I'm going to get back to what I was doing, burying my body over here. And then he says, this is crazy. So they both bury the bodies, and then they go to a restaurant and have coffee together.
Yeah.
And, okay, wait, it gets better. So they're both talking, and then they start saying, it's like, man, like, the girl I killed and the girl you killed, they kind of looked alike. Turns out they were twin sisters.
Oh, wow.
And that guy was Gary Ridgway.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, okay.
He's fantasizing.
Okay.
He's fantasizing.
So that's the story he told us. He's going to bury... I'm not saying... Now, okay, I have a very dark sense of humor.
Did he know it? Did he say the name Gary Ridgway? Or
no, but he said Green River Killer.
Green River Killer, yeah.
It was a Green River Killer. Because they didn't know who Gary Ridgway was.
Right, yeah. He's
like,
saying, oh, yeah, that other dude you're looking for, he's a friend of mine. I met him. Yeah,
and we had coffee together.
Yeah,
and
yeah. We're the same, man.
We talked shop.
Yeah. Fucking hilarious.
Like, okay, this was really funny to me because, like I said, I have a very dark sense of humor, and it's like if this happened, I mean, obviously it'd be horrifying it happened in real life, but it's kind of a funny situation because it's like really absurd. So it's like, so I almost like I laughed out loud like when I first fucking read this fucking story. I'm like, one, why the fuck did you think anybody would believe that? Because that is fucking crazy.
Papa brought it up that the fucking Green River killer Gary Ridgway, he didn't bury any of those bodies because he'd have to come back to him and he'd screw him again.
Yeah, he liked to just leave them
because it was free. They asked me, why'd you do that? Because it was free.
So they were nice and rotten.
Yeah, nice
so
and
yeah,
rotten.
the fact that they so
nasty motherfucker.
I know.
And then he'd go back to his wife. He'd wash off in the water and fucking go back to his wife. Man.
I don't see how you could watch that.
Yeah, and the cops are going like, this is summertime and shit, man. That was 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
That shit was fucking rotten. You know, fucking man.
Dudes are gross.
Yeah. No, dudes are not gross. That motherfucker. Yeah, they got a lot of gross motherfuckers, but that dude right there, man, he had some fucking serious issues. Yeah, he was
But just good. The absurdity of the situation, and I'm not saying like in the wide history of the world.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it might have happened at some point.
Yeah.
Well, maybe somewhere where there's like okay, for example, the horrible thing, we did a show about it a long time ago, of the Texas killing fields, where they know for a fact that there's at least 3 to 5, perhaps more serial killers dumping bodies in that same area. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that might happen. You're just out there dumping a body, as one does, and you just kind of come across another motherfucker also dumping a body. And then you just kind of look at it and you're like, hey.
Yeah, but the time.
You know what I mean? But the fact that he made that story up.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, yeah, I'm out there, and then they went and had coffee together.
Yeah.
And then the victims were twin sisters, and it's just, come on, man. Did he really think?
And then Tammy goes, yeah. Then they become blood brothers.
Right. It's like, did he really think anyone was? I think he was just fucking with people. But it's like, I mean, that's kind of a hilarious story.
I don't think he was fucking with people. I think he was fantasizing.
But yeah, well, and that's kind of
fantasizing that he was up there. He was up there with the greatest fucking. Papa just gave
us a super chat.
Yeah.
Said, I'm going to a show in October that is a talk between Gary and Ted if they met in a bar. See, now, like I said, it's horrible what they did in real life, but it's kind of funny to think about. I think that was an episode of remember that Masters of Horror series that was back in the 90s?
Yeah.
Mick Garris. I think there was an episode of that where it was like 2 dueling serial killers, like they were both after the same victim or something. It's been a while since I've seen it. I think one of them was a trucker too. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they got the idea from this. I'm not really sure. I'd have to see it again. I think Fairuza Balk was in it. Now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah, just the idea of 2 serial killers just meeting by chance and then just being like I said, being all simpatico about it, like, hey, we have something in common. Like, let's hang out. Like, they go over to each other's houses, watch football or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
He's trying to tell everybody that, hey, I'm not alone. There's other guys like me. We're friends. Yeah. What I do is not that weird. It's a scene. It's a scene.
And I'm just like, my God.
It's a scene, yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's just like,
thing,
it's just like people that do, like, Civil War reenacting or something. It's totally harmless.
Playing golf together.
Totally harmless.
Yeah.
We
all riding motorcycles.
Y'all go fishing with your friends, and we just go out dumping bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Don't judge.
That's exactly what he's saying.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah. So this guy, Jesus Christ, burying bodies at the same time, and then it was the Green River Killer. After he told the investigators on the Green River Killer case that story, they were like, fuck this dude. It's like, you know what I mean? Pretty much. And they eventually, like I said, caught Gary Ridgway for that anyway. Not saying, because I know that there was a lot of murders like this that happened around this time period. And like I said, raping and strangling, it's a pretty common thing that serial killers do. So I'm not saying it's crazy to think that maybe Jesperson was responsible for some of the murders that they couldn't pin on Ridgway that were similar. And I'm sure he probably killed more people than they could prove. I think there were some earlier ones, and like I said, he did confess to a bunch whose names he only knew their first names, but they couldn't find any cases that lined up with that. So they might just be missing people, or that might not be their real names or something like that. So I suspect that he's killed a lot more people than he thought. Is it 160, as he said? No. Like I said, that's some Henry Lee Lucas shit right there. Because what he would do is he would say, oh, I did this, that, and the other, and then he would write a letter to the paper or something like that and be like, oh, just kidding, I didn't really do that one. You know what I mean? It was that kind of shit. Like, he just liked fucking with people. Because, like I said, it was kind of a power play. So, I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever know. He is still alive. He's 70 years old. But I don't know if they'll ever know exactly how many people he killed. But I assume it's more than 8. But that's how many that they could pin on him anyway. So he is still in prison as of this show. As I said, I don't know about his other kids because he had several. But his daughter has gone on to become like a big advocate for victims. And she has like a TV show and did a podcast and stuff like that about him and shit like that. Also, and I couldn't watch it because it's on Paramount Plus and I don't have that. But they did a fictionalized movie that was it a movie or a series? I can't remember, but it was like based on her relationship with him, because I think she did go and visit him in prison a few times, which I don't know, I wouldn't, but you know, that's you do you, whatever. But if I found out my dad was a serial killer, yeah, fuck him. But I'm pretty sure my dad's not a serial killer. Yeah. But if he was, I would not visit him in prison or give him the time of day. Really,
no, it's a wrap.
Because why would you?
Yeah, it's a wrap.
So that'd be it.
Yeah.
But she did visit him a few times. But they did make a movie about it that's just called Happy Face. It was a movie or a series, I don't remember. And Dennis Quaid played Keith Jesperson, which is why I wanted to see it, because Dennis Quaid
he's fucking funny, man. He's fucking wild.
He plays some fucking... Yeah. He was fucking great in The Substance. Yeah. Which is the newest thing of this. He just played this smarmy, disgusting pig.
Producer, yeah.
And he was fucking great. You could tell he was just having a blast.
He was good in the one where he was living at people's houses.
Yeah, like Intruder or whatever that one was called. Yeah, he's really good at playing like fucking psychopaths. Yeah. And it's weird because I just watched a movie
him as a kid.
From I think it was from 1978.
Yeah, and he was in there playing the villain.
And it's called Are You in the House Alone? Yeah, I think it was made for TV. Yeah, and he played spoiler alert for a 1978 movie. He plays kind of the rich kid who turns out to be a rapist. Yeah, and
he's doing his fucking.
He's a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, we're watching it, and the whole movie, they're trying to, like, red herring you into, like, thinking it's, like, these other motherfuckers, and I'm like, it's totally Dennis Quaid, come on now. Because, like, well, because they're trying so hard to make you think
everybody else
that it's this other dude. It's like, look how creepy this guy is, look how creepy this teacher is. I'm like, it's not them. It's like, I know how this works. Even back in the 70s, that was a pretty tired... Like, if the harder you try to make me think that's the killer, that's not the killer. It's always the person that's kind of in the background that just kind of fades in. We're all aware of that trope. So I was just kind of like, I bet you $20 that Dennis Quaid is the rapist. Yep, he sure was. So he was playing creepy assholes even back in the 1970s.
Yeah. Okay, so Friday we'll be here to do that's a wrap, right? That's all of it, right?
Yeah. Like I said, this motherfucker's still in jail. His daughter has a show. Okay. And you should watch it. It's good. I've seen a couple episodes of it, and it's really good. But yeah.
Friday show, we're gonna do sidetracks.
And
it'll be Jen's birthday.
It is. It's my birthday on Friday.
And
my 53rd birthday.
Yeah, we'll sit here and have a few drinks with you guys, and we'll do a little show. It'll be fun. It'll be open lines.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be good. I'm looking forward to my birthday.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun weekend. I'm gonna get some cake. I already looked at the Publix bakery to see what cake I wanted.
We'll get you cake.
Because I wanted to get one I hadn't had before.
Let's go ahead and shut it down.
All right,
I'm
so we are
tired.
going. I'm starving too.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get something. We got food.
Yeah, like I said, I was gonna heat some stuff up, but I wasn't sure when you were coming back, and then I was in a meeting, and it ran long, and all this other.
Well, we should have enough curry, huh?
Oh yeah, there's. I mean, yeah, okay. I didn't eat it all,
we'll
so
eat that, then.
there should be enough left for 2 people, I think. There should be. All right, so we are going to wrap it up for this evening. Thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks very much for your super chats. A lot of y'all gave us super chats this evening. So hopefully you guys have a good rest of your evening. Have a good day tomorrow. We'll be back on Friday night for our sidetrack show, Jenny's birthday edition. So that'll be fun. Hopefully you guys can turn up for that and celebrate my birthday with me. And we'll see you guys again on Friday night. Good night.